Let's go pick her up. It's not that domineering or sinister at all. But when I see Zhang Qiming's silly face, I can only say that a fool has his good fortune. At this moment, Li Danyu, who had freed himself, suddenly shouted excitedly, "My Yunmei is in that classroom next door, that Hongji." I couldn't help but widen my eyes. Zhong Kui is known for driving away ghosts, but now he can actually consume them. Although the folk legend says Zhong Kui eats ghosts, but the one I have is the authentic one. The celestial master Zhong Kui has appeared. Suddenly, a terrifying force of attraction came from behind him. The female ghost had no strength to resist. She was sucked into the ground. Seeing this scene, fortunately, I was prepared. I turned and pressed the bell against her head. The ghost let out a scream and flew away. At that moment, Zhang Qiming tore his clothes without hesitation, revealing his Zhong Kui exorcism tattoo. Not only captures ghosts, but can also consume them. Just as I was about to untie Li Danyu, a chilling wind suddenly blew from behind. A ghostly woman in white lunged at me. "We can't worry too much." I had Zhang Qiming go ahead. He has the protection of Zhong Kui. He can handle ordinary infant spirits without any problem. Zhong Kui, the heavenly master who defeats evil spirits. It's likely that someone died in that classroom back then. Moreover, there were cries of ghostly infants coming from there. There shouldn't be any dead infants in the school. That must be Li Danyu and his son. The situation is urgent right now. Later, this place became more and more eerie. Our school also fell into disrepair because of this. That's why it was abandoned. At this moment, Zhao Banjian noticed a classroom. It was filled with ghostly shadows. I once saw a news report that said a fire once broke out in this school. A class of students was trapped in the classroom and burned to death. Hearing this, I turned and replied that it was indeed true. That was before I graduated. Looked like a giant decapitated head. A road runs across the neck, severing this massive ghostly skull from its body. People often say that willow trees nurture, while locust trees nurture ghosts, but this locust tree has nurtured too many. Zhao Banshan looked at the school's layout and felt uneasy. The malevolent energy here is too strong. It's a haunted school in ruins. Those two buildings, along with the locust tree at the entrance, combined with the shape of the mountain. Seeing that big locust tree, I suddenly realized this was my old school. Chen Lai hanged himself on this tree. They were hiding here. Could it be that fate brought me to this hanging well? I don't know what he is talking about, but there's no time to think too much about it now. Soon we caught up with Li Danyu in Zhang Qiming's car. But this road felt familiar to me, no matter how I looked at it. When we arrived at our destination, Bai Xiaoxiu seems to already know that something is going to happen. She said she has been keeping an eye on me. That person has finally revealed his true colors. Everything is about to start. I'm a bit confused. Additionally, I arranged the stuff I got from Brother Qiang onto Zhang Qiming's vehicle. We disguised it as a hearse to sneak in and save someone, just to be safe. I called Bai Xiaoxiu again. I hope he can come over to help. He hopped on the tricycle and left. It's all over now. In a moment of desperation, I had no choice but to have Miao Qianqian call Zhang Qiming. I remember seeing him with a tricycle last time. After learning the truth, Li Danyu could no longer hold back. He immediately wanted to take the ghost baby and go save him. I rushed up to try to stop them, but Li Danyu completely wouldn't listen. It will soon be my mother's turn. My mother loves you deeply. She even deliberately drove you away. He is now locked up somewhere in the western suburbs. We need to go rescue him quickly. Ask him what he is really talking about. At that moment, the ghostly baby's face suddenly became grotesque. Let out a strange cry. My mother, Zhang Baiyun, is seriously ill. She had no choice but to come out and do this. Now that little Rong is dead, hearing the ghost baby actually speak, I was taken aback as well. It had absorbed a large amount of negative energy left in the car, and already had the most basic skills. Lee Danyu was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. Soon, the ghost baby appeared. The monk asked him, "I envy your rebirth. Do you have any unfulfilled wishes?" The ghost baby opened its eyes. In a low voice it said, "Save my mother." Then we brought the tricycle to a temple. We invited a high monk to help with the ritual for the ghost baby. The monk held a bell. He chanted the rebirth mantra. He began the ritual for the tricycle. He hurriedly asked what to do now. I said, "What else can we do? Let's go to the temple. Find an enlightened monk to help guide the ghost baby. Otherwise, the next one to die will be you." This negative energy has caused that ghost to become yin and yang. If we're talking about cause and effect, none of you can escape responsibility. Upon hearing what Zhao Banjin said, Lee Danyu panicked instantly. He pointed at the tricycle behind him and indicated that it was a silver vehicle. He didn't know how many bad things it did every night. It's murky and toxic. The heavy energy is unbearable. In the end, this terrible outcome was caused. You deserve this slap. Lee Danyu turned his head and said nothing. Zhao Banshun saw him like this and couldn't help but snort coldly. Lee Danyu hesitated for a moment. He said something in a formal tone. I went up and slapped him. Then I angrily said, "You like a woman, yet you let him belittle himself." Later, Yunmai left a letter and just left, and this ghost baby has been following me. Now I just want to find a way to send her away. I see that she has kept the letter so well, so I asked her if she liked that Yunmai, but I was even more afraid that the man's spirit would come to haunt me. So I decided to give birth to the child. We have nowhere to go. We had no choice but to give birth in the car. I didn't expect that what was born was actually a stillborn. I discovered that it was actually a cemetery. The man I met that night had long since died. Later, I became pregnant. At first, we were all very scared. We didn't know what was in my belly. He stayed in the car for a full 3 hours. At first, the money he left was real, but later it turned into spirit money. I thought it was really eerie. During the day, I returned to the place where I received clients. We didn't notice. Then, strange things started happening. The guest we picked up had a darkened forehead. It was terrifying. The man looked like he'd never been with a woman in his life. On both sides, we must hang signs for peace in the world, and a peachwood plaque for making money easily. That night, my foolish sister and I went out to pick up a guest. Maybe it was bumpy on the road. Those 2 plaques fell off. Regardless of your beauty or ugliness, the guests will become addicted. They will spend $2,000 just to come once with you. The third must arrange the tricycle as a wedding bed. The yang energy is strong. The second woman must be born with body odor. Then they soak in their medicine bath. After soaking, they exude a captivating feminine fragrance. It's particularly alluring. First, there must be 1 man and 1 woman. The man drives, the woman sits in the car, and the man must not have been with a woman recently. That means he cannot have been with a woman in the past few days. That's how this business started. This operation can only have 7 groups of tricycles. Someone has to drop out for someone to enter. We just happened to encounter someone dropping out, so we could join. We also have to strictly follow 3 rules. Originally, he was just serving drinks in the club. As for me, I was just pedaling a tricycle. Later, when ignorance saw he wasn't making any money, with the encouragement of the club's Madam Sister Hong, he brought me in. Since you all seem to be in the know, I'll keep it brief. This ghost baby is not my child. It is the foolish son of my godson. Ignorance and I are from the same hometown. Placing the world in peace, and one sword brings wealth plaques in front of Lee Danyu. Ask him what he really knows. Then hurry up and say it. It's clear that we can't hide it any longer. Lee Danyu finally revealed the truth. In the next second, countless malevolent energies poured out. Zhao Banjian was so scared that he fell to the ground with a thud. Looking up, he saw a hideous ghost baby. Then, Zhao Banjian and I returned to the room. Before Lee Danyu could say anything, Zhao Banjian took out the compass and walked up to the tricycle. As soon as we got close, the needle on the compass started spinning rapidly. Lee Danyu instantly stammered, so I leaned over to Zhao Banjian's side. He whispered, "Old Zhao, could it be we just got out from the shadow of the tricycle, and another one is coming?" Seeing the tricycle again, I had a bad feeling. Zhao Banxian also noticed the heavy yin energy on the tricycle. He feared there might be something unclean. Zhao Banxian pointed it out right away. Having just resolved the matter with Xie Long, another guest has arrived. The man's name is Lee Danyu. He also heard there was a yin-yang master here, so he came to ask for help, adding a layer of mystery to the case. The hearse picks up guests. Don't harbor ill intentions. The ghostly infant appears, only to save its mother. I will definitely return to repay Mr. Yin-Yang for this great kindness. After saying this, she burrowed into the grass. A few days later, news reports announced the death of Brother Qiang. According to eyewitness accounts, a fox once broke into the scene. You can dispose of the rest as you wish. With Xiaorong's departure, Miao Kuanqian also fainted. At the same time, a remarkable fragrance began to emanate from the little fox. Turning her head, she left a remark, "If this grudge can be resolved." With blood-red eyes he said, "Rakshasa ghost. This fox is also inherently spiritual." What a bold and legitimate plot. Well then, if I have avenged my grievances, I got a tattoo. This Rakshasa ghost tattoo on my back. If you dive in, you can take revenge. Ween Yan Xiaorong's eyes flickered. He glanced down at the little fox. Pointing at the little fox on the ground, he said, "Don't worry. I'm here to help you. You're mainly lacking in balance. Nobody can't hurt people. I found a fox for you." Not only does he have dozens of bodyguards around him at all times, he even went to a temple to ask for a talisman from a master. He also had a Bagua mirror installed in his house. How can I find him to take revenge? Seeing this, I quickly shrugged my shoulders. Go find the right person for revenge. I didn't expect my words would lead to this. He actually started crying. Do you think I don't want to? Chiang has done so many bad things that he's feeling guilty. Are you here to catch me too? I advised him to calm down. I'm here to help you get your revenge. As the saying goes, debts should be repaid to the right person. Don't go harming other ordinary people. A red light flashed not far away. With a whoosh, it attached itself to Miao Qianqian. It controlled Miao Qianqian's body, her gaze blood-red. He roared at us with bared teeth and claws, asking why he wasn't even given a chance for revenge. It was already dark. I walked ahead with a flashlight. I looked for several. I finally found Chen Xiaorong's tombstone. But before we could approach the tombstone, Miao Qianqian and Zhao Banxian, watching this, felt amazed. No wonder it's a fox spirit. Everything is ready. Now we just need to go to the cemetery to find Xiaorong. By the time we arrived at the cemetery, only then will he obediently become your tattoo. The spirits of the earth will bless you. Do you understand? The little fox seemed to understand. It let out a hiss toward me. Earlier, I said I would give you the cursed land. It is a great opportunity for you. If Xiaorong possesses you later, You must take revenge for him. Fulfill his long-cherished wish. Women possess the power of seduction. They entice others. These demons fit perfectly with the flirtatious female ghost, like Xiao Rong. After putting away the tattoo tools, I embraced the little fox again. The tattoo is finished. The Rakshasa ghost tattoo. Rakshasas refer to evil spirits in Buddhism. These beings are extremely ugly for males. Females are incredibly beautiful and stunning. It perfectly matches the characteristics of Xiaorong's body fragrance. I plan to give her a tattoo. Let Xiaorong's spirit enter and become a Turing. This way, Xiaorong can take the little fox to seek revenge. Half an hour later. Then, I poked the little fox nose. I indicated that foxes are one of the 5 great immortals of northeast China. They are generally known for their charm and allure. This fox hasn't removed its anal glands. The fox scent is still retained. Then Brother Qiang is worse than a pig or a dog. It really is a wicked ghost. We helped Xiao Rong. We made sure she wouldn't harm the human world. That's a good deed, I suppose. What exactly is good? What is evil? After I asked this, Zhao Banxian instantly fell into despair. He slowly said, "You are right. I expressed my opinion. What is an evil spirit? One must pay with their life for killing. It is only natural. A person's heart can be worse than a ghost's. Reincarnation." Wenyan Zhao Banxian also understood my meaning. He stood up suddenly. He asked me if I wanted to help that evil spirit harm others. I let out a long sigh. I said it was partly true. As the saying goes, debts must be repaid. Xiaorong was killed by that Qiangji. I just want to know if Xiaorong can rest in peace. If she gets her revenge. We need to find a time to check out the cemetery. But before that, we still have to make a trip to the pet store first. Then I went to the pet store and bought a fox. Li Shang asked me if bringing back a fox was to seek revenge. He cleared his throat a couple of times, saying he's getting old. His energy is not what it used to be. He's not as tough as you young people. But back to that female ghost. She should only be able to return to her corpse. I thought about it. It seems that's true. However, it seems our Zhao Daxian almost lost his integrity just now. I teased him about it. Zhao Banxian felt a bit ashamed. The red figure disappeared from the window. He got away. I feel a bit regretful. But Zhao Banxian said it's not bad that he ran away. Could we handle him if he stayed here? You are bullying me too much. You actually chased me here. You heartless people. Did Brother Qiang send you to get rid of me? With a swoosh, the demon's audacity knows no bounds. With the thunderous roar of Zhong Kui rolling in, the female ghost trembled all over. A red figure rushed out wildly, screaming in terror, "Why won't you let me go?" I almost got enchanted myself. Fortunately, I reacted in time. I kicked the fat woman off Zhang Chiming, revealing the Zhong Kui ladder behind her. Ghost Catching Master, help me exorcise the spirits. She was about to have some fun with him. This scene was simply too stimulating. Even Zhao Banjian was deeply entranced by this astonishing scent of sweat, unable to extricate himself. I originally wanted to wake him up. I didn't expect that the scent of sweat would suddenly rush toward me. She was emanating an incredible scent of sweat. A bunch of keys was hanging from her waist. It seems he came to check and tidy up Xiaorong's room. As a result, he was possessed by Xiaorong's vengeful spirit. I saw this fat woman climb on top of Zhang Chiming. Zhang Chiming fumbled to open a cabinet. To our surprise, there was a woman hidden inside. With a thud, she came running toward us. She was a middle-aged, overweight woman. She must weigh around 200 pounds. However, it's said that the herbal bath is particularly harmful to the body. To make women sweat like that, the herbs must penetrate deep into the bones. Xiaorong's death may be related to this herbal bath. but the sign hanging with the words yin and yang is puzzling. Just as I was talking with Zhao Banshan, that kind of bath can turn body odor into a fragrant scent. Emitting a deadly feminine aroma, the scent of sweat can also arouse desire. It's said that beauties like Yang Gifei and Zhishi used it. It should be some kind of witchcraft to entice men. In ancient times, women had body odor. No one dared to get close. This gave rise to a kind of sorcery. There is a drug soap called DG pill. They tend to sweat. The unpleasant smell is called body odor. The pleasant smell is called body fragrance. The strong smell in front of me is so pungent it stinks. It might be emitted from the little dragon's bodily fluids. The room is filled with this smell. I followed the direction of the strongest scent. I found Xiaolong's room. Zhao Bianxian said, "Some women have a natural fragrance." It made me feel nauseous. Zhao Banshan pinched his nose and said with a look of disgust that there was indeed something odd. Xiaorong might have body odor, or it could be particularly strong. What is good and what is evil? After going upstairs, I used the key that Li Shan gave me to open the door. The moment the door opened, a strong foul smell rushed towards me. Upstairs, he'll soon have a chance to show his skills. At the same time, I couldn't help but sigh. Getting that fool a tattoo of Zhong Kui exorcising evil spirits was truly the right choice. People's hearts are more evil than ghosts. Then with a look of childish excitement said, "Brother, the ghost is here. I can no longer hold back my primal power. I'm going to exorcise the demon." I told him not to rush, but offering it to the King of Hell, that's impossible. It might be some kind of ritual or something. Just as we were about to check on Xiaorong's dormitory, a voice suddenly came from behind us. Zhang Chiming shouted and ran toward us. The inside was decorated like a wedding car. It even had the black and white guard signs hanging. Could it really be from the underworld? Driving down the Yellow Springs Road at night, delivering it to the King of Hell. Zhao Bangshan said he wasn't sure about that. They deserve to die. Unable to catch up, Xiaorong joined the ranks of the abusers. "You're such a beast." But that hers was clearly not that simple. We had already walked far away. They were still waving continuously. But for scum like them, there's no way we can save them. People like them are collaborators with evil. He probably hasn't been this diligent even when paying respects to his ancestors. Zhao Banjian looked at him with some disgust. He said, "You can go back. We're here to resolve this matter." Xiao Zhang was instantly filled with gratitude, moved to tears. Now Xiaorong has become a ghost and has started to harm the two people she shared a room with. Once those two are dead, it's my turn now. "Oh, great master, please save me." Xiao Zhang knelt down again, banging his head on the ground as he spoke. "Look, we're leaving." Xiao Zhang hurriedly grabbed Zhao Bangshan's sleeve. He begged earnestly, "Master, Xiaorong's death has nothing to do with me. It was all Strong Ji who instigated me to do this. I don't know if it's my child." Upon hearing this, Zhao Bangshan and I were both furious. This person is just scum. They deserve to die. To come to me, I always get in the car. I am Xiaorong's first customer every day. I heard that Xiaorong was pregnant in the car. Later, she had it aborted. You must have been taking some powerful tonics to boost your kidneys lately. How many times have you honestly told me? Xiao Zhang paused for a moment. Then he lowered his head and said somewhat guiltily, "Basically, every day, Brother Qiang pulls Xiaorong out. Now that this has happened to her, I couldn't help but feel the same way towards him." Zhao Banshan shook his hand off forcefully. "You look pale in the area between your eyebrows. It seems like you've been drained of excitement." I asked Zhao Banshan to save his life. He kept making excuses. I think any normal man would do the same. Xiaorong is so beautiful. I pursued her before, but she wouldn't agree. Xiaorong is such a beautiful woman. I've never touched a woman like her in my life. That's why I ended up with a ghost's wife. Speaking of which, Xiaojiang suddenly knelt down with a thud. Xiaojiang clearly seemed a bit guilty. He stammered and said, "That Qiangai comes into the neighborhood every night to shut me up. He tempts me to get in the car, to be offered to King Yama. This guest is not human. It's a ghost." So what did you just say about your moment of greed? What did you do? Suddenly, when I asked him like this, isn't that just the two wooden plaques held by the ghostly messengers, black and white impermanence? Xiaojiang lowered his head and said, "I don't know. Every time Brother Qiang comes to pick someone up, the car drives away. I don't know where it goes, but I think it must be sent to the underworld. His body marked with red welts." Hearing this, Zhao Banshan couldn't help but gasp. The world is at peace. One sword brings wealth, stirring with anticipation. By morning, Qi Yang will bring Xiaolong back. Strangely, Xiaolong always comes back covered in wounds. The most amazing part is, inside the carriage, there is actually a bed, covered with petals. There's a unique and alluring fragrance that leaves people entranced. The red is enchanting, just like a distant relative's bridal sedan chair. But there are two wooden plaques hanging on either side of the door. One side says, "World Peace." The other side says, "One piece of lumber." The guests that Tiangji had Xiaorong entertain might really not be human. When Xiaorong was alive, every midnight, Tiangji would come to pick him up in a tricycle. That tricycle was quite eerie. Upon hearing this, Zhao Banxian and I both stood up excitedly, cursing that Tiangji is not human. After I say this, Xiaojiang hesitantly replied, "They were always together." But later, I heard that Tiangji was a scumbag. He not only tricked Xiaorong out of her money and body, but also took nude photos of her. He threatened her to work in the sex industry. Xiaorong was originally part of the venue. He had pursued her before, but Xiaorong wasn't interested in him. Later, Xiaorong got a boyfriend. At first, Tiangji and Xiaorong had a great relationship. I couldn't help but give Zhao Banxian a thumbs up. Awesome. The security guard respectfully invited us into the room. He started talking to us about Xiaorong. It turns out the security guard's name is Xiaojiang. I'm afraid he might die in a few days. At this point, the guard was thoroughly panicked. With a thud, he knelt down. He desperately begged Zhao Banxian to save his life. I saw this and thought it was fine. "Your forehead is dark. Bad luck is upon you lately. Weak energy, frail body, drained of his essence by a woman. Am I right?" Just as he finished speaking, the gatekeeper opened the door, then timidly asked, "May I ask who's the esteemed guest?" Zhao Banxian suddenly moved forward, and with a serious expression said, "Young man, so be it, so be it. When the evil spirit comes, he will surely meet his end in the underworld." I must admit, Zhao Banxian's tricks do work after all. Intentionally or not, he called out to the room, "I sense that there is a disaster here. Heaven's fury and people's resentment. A great calamity is upon us, yet someone refuses to accept my good intentions." He indicated that this person clearly had a guilty conscience. There is something suspicious. Trying to get close won't work. You should just listen to the old man. Zhao Banshan cleared his throat. "Let's go, don't ask me. I don't know anything." The gatekeeper slammed the door shut with a bang. I was left dumbfounded. However, Zhao Banshan noticed some signs. Now, they're both in some trouble. The gatekeeper of Wenyan instantly became agitated. He slapped the cigarette I handed over out of my hand. With a terrified expression, he said they were in trouble. It really was the ghost messenger coming for a life. Offered a cigarette and asked, "Bro, I have a question for you. A girl named Xiaorong died in this neighborhood. Do you know what happened? My buddy Li Shan shared a room with Xiaorong. Burn more paper money." As soon as I heard it, it felt off. This security guard should know something. I exchanged a glance with Zhao Bangxian, and then I walked over. "Avoid the living. You are a woman enjoyed by the king of hell. It's my fault for not being able to hold back. Please, don't come back to find me. I'll burn incense for you." As soon as we reached the entrance of the community, we saw the security guard burning joss paper not far away. He was mumbling to himself about the compassionate Avalokiteshvara. "It's all my greedy thoughts to blame." The hearse passed by, but I still don't know what that red gust of wind just now was. For the sake of my brother's lifelong happiness, Zhao Banxian and I arrived at the community where Li Shan and Xiaorong share an apartment. We wanted to see if we could find any information. He took out the bell. He pressed it against the hammer's head. The next second, the spirit possessing the hammer let out a painful wail. With a swoosh, it flew out of his body. It seems that what Bai Shaoxu left behind is indeed extraordinary. I'm just a tool artist. You all treat me like a medium. Isn't that putting me in a tough spot, fat tiger? At that moment, I suddenly thought of the bell that Bai Shaoxu gave me. Then he turned around and opened the box. He even asked me if I liked La 3. He suddenly grabbed my hand. Let me try again. In this situation, I didn't know what to do. I suspect Xiao Chui has been possessed by this flirtatious ghost. I suddenly slapped Xiao Chu hard across the face. Only then did Xiao Chui quiet down for a moment. Unexpectedly, when he turned his head again, he had a look of enjoyment on his face, while Li Shan helped the little hammer put its jacket back on. He turned to me and said, "Look, ever since Xiaorong died, Xiao Chu occasionally crashes into blood like this. Xiaorong used to be in the flesh trade. Strange things started happening in the following days. Just as I was about to ask what strange things had happened, the little hammer sitting in the chair suddenly showed a strange smile. Then it took off its jacket, saying, 'Come on.' According to Li Shan, they had a roommate named Xiaorong. There wasn't usually any conflict, but a few days ago when they came back from work, they heard that she had died in bed. The ambulance had already taken her away. Early that morning, Li Shan came with his girlfriend, Xiao Chu. I noticed that Xiao Chu had a dark aura on his forehead. It felt quite ominous, so I hurriedly invited them in, wishing for a perfect solution. Not failing Buddha, not failing you. Peace across the land. One sword brings fortune. Hearse for hire. Ghost bridal sedan. He bid me farewell, and slowly returned on his way. Sometime later, Mian Qian heard news that Mo Shoxi had lost all memories of Zhou Xing. I can't help but sigh at the world. You can go back now. Your spirit cannot stay outside for long. As for how to deal with your spirit, he'll figure out a way to help you later. Zhou Xing nodded. He feels overwhelming guilt, haunted by nightmares every night. Living is worse than death. I think my revenge has been fulfilled. Since that's the case, I asked Zhou Xing if he wanted us to help report it to the police, but unexpectedly, Zhou Xing said there's no need. After he ate my soul, he also gained my memories. He knows that I didn't cheat. After he killed me on the operating table, he ate me. He said that way we could be together forever. After hearing the whole story, I was really shocked too. Mo Shoxi is truly ruthless. I was killed by Mo Shoxi with his own hands. Mo Shoxi has an incredibly terrifying possessiveness. He suspected I was cheating. He actually ran me over with his car. Then he used his connections to put me on his operating table. Hearing his identity, I couldn't help but be stunned. How did you die? Why did he still want to imprison your soul within his own body? It's laughable, really. Bochitu indeed reacted. A man's spirit slowly appeared before us. I quickly asked him who he was. He said his name was Zhou Xing. He was Mo Shoxi's boyfriend. It has been transferred here. Winyan stood up with a sudden realization. In an instant, everything became clear. He picked up Bochitu, ready to take a look, with one needle prick, saying, "Didn't Brother Xiaoyu say that Dr. Mo Shoxi had a relationship with Chen Yu? In that case, his memory and soul will naturally have a part absorbed into Chen Yu's body. If there is another person's soul within Mo Shoxi, that soul will be devoured by Bochitu. The soul that Mo Shoxi consumed is right here now." Hearing her say this, we all couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Zhao Bangxian even reminded her not to speak carelessly, but Miao Qianqian responded with solid reasoning. "I really don't know what other secrets Mo Shoxi is hiding. Who did he swallow?" I didn't expect that I hadn't finished asking this question. Miao Qianqian suddenly stood up with a swoosh. With a confident expression she said, "I know. The food of Sherikan is one matter. It is very likely that he swallowed someone's memory and soul into his own body." I let out a long sigh. In one day, I witnessed the two great elements of ancient India and Tibet. That's quite enough. She mentioned the matter of the reincarnation of a living Buddha's soul devouring. I remember there was such a thing. But what does that have to do with this? Bai Shakshu said, "That thing is also called a knowing valley in Buddhist terms. This has turned her into such a wretch. He is indeed a scumbag. I didn't expect there to be such a perversion in the hospital." Bai Shakshu paused. She asked if we remembered the first time we met Chen Yu. It was truly frightening to watch. Afterwards, I revealed that Mo Shoxi was gnawing on a bone in the office. Miao Qianqian felt disgusted. Zhao Bangxian also stated that Chen Beihai had used dark magic on his daughter. It looked like she was nibbling on something. I leaned in to take a closer look. Mo Shoxi was holding a bone in her hands. She was smiling blankly. Saliva kept flowing out, so I hurriedly ran after him. I found that his office door was open. I also heard a strange sound. I followed the sound. I saw Mo Shoxi crouching in the corner. He waved at me and walked away. I watched him leave, feeling a bit speechless. I thought to myself, there really are all kinds of weird people in this world. After a long while, I suddenly remembered that I hadn't given him my bank account number. There's nothing to hide. In any case, the issue is resolved now. It's better for everyone. I'm tired. I'll head back to the office first. Rest up, that's all. A bit of classical language. I was also quite surprised. Mo Shoxi actually had a relationship with Chen Yu. However, Mo Shoxi didn't seem to care much. She stated that helping patients alleviate their troubles is our duty as doctors. He turned his own daughter into a disgrace, used by thousands, all to absorb others' memories and wisdom, to turn himself into a business genius. And to think I even comforted him when Chen Yu had an episode. Looks like my wisdom was stolen by that bastard Chen Beihai too. Once possessed by Boqin, Chen Beihai announced his retirement, and he said a bunch of incomprehensible things. Now Mo Shoxi finally understood. The tree on Chen Yu was planted by his own father. The man was poor and struggling before he turned 30, but after 30, he suddenly became enlightened. He transformed into a business genius. In just 10 years, he accumulated wealth beyond what most can reach. All of this was because he used Indian sorcery on his daughter. He said that the medical fees would be transferred to my account later. Since he didn't want to say more, I didn't press him further. We exchanged a few simple pleasantries. I left. I turned to look at Chen Yu. At this point, Chen Yu had returned to his original state, but his face still showed signs of unease. He was very grateful to me for helping him solve the problem, but he didn't want to talk about anything else. Starting today, she will retire from the business world and donate 90% of her assets. They will be managed by a charitable foundation. After reading the entire report, they asked her why, known for her eloquence. She was stuttering at this moment. Is there some shocking secret? Chen Beihai didn't explain much. He only said that his daughter was saved. Only with eloquence and emotional intelligence can business get better and better. But it has harmed my daughter. As soon as these words were spoken, the reporters in the audience instantly erupted. He has resolved the knots I've carried for many years. For so many years, I have done many good deeds, but I could never compensate for the guilt I feel toward my daughter. When I was young, I was destitute. Later, I learned an ineffective method to enhance my skills from an Indian monk. I carefully put it away. Just then, a breaking news report suddenly came on the TV. The renowned entrepreneur Chen Beihai suddenly announced his retirement during a speech. In the live broadcast, Chen Beihai said to the media, "I know that a great person in the hospital saved my daughter. I knew the tattoo was taking effect. The memories and fragments of others' souls inside him were being devoured by the Boqi bird. At the same time, his face was gradually returning to normal. Once all the spirits on Chen Yu were dispelled, the Boqi design turned into a ghost thorn tattoo. Then I placed the bouquet on Chen Yu's back. A large fiery red bird flew out. With its mouth wide open, it swallowed all the spirits inside Chen Yu. Chen Yu let out a cry of pain. Seeing him in such pain, if needed, I can take it all off. I was startled upon hearing that. I quickly said only, the back would be fine. In my heart, I couldn't help but marvel at the terror of Lux syndrome. Then I brought the tattooed Boqi map to the hospital room. I told Chen Yu to lie down. Expose your back. Chen Yu quickly took off his top. He turned to me with a charming smile, asking if it was just the back. It must be taken away. You close the door. Do not let anyone disturb me. When it's done, we need to hurry to the hospital. The national flag is originally a correct image. It does not need any dark spirit, but the thin flag has consumed dark spirits. After nightmares, it will turn into a sinister figure. The thin flag that has consumed dark spirits should not be kept on you. Wards off evil and devours ghosts. It cures nightmares. Half-immortal Zhao, confused about eating nightmares, asked why I didn't tattoo it directly there. Isn't that how it's usually done on Chen Yu's body? While tattooing, I explained that this is a reverse tattooing method. The next day, he got the human skin from my back that I needed, and he sent someone to deliver it. I laid the human skin he sent flat on the table, this time him tattooing the erect mythical beast of the stone dream. This auspicious mythical beast. This shouldn't be a problem. I will mention it to him. It will be delivered to you as soon as possible. Needless to say, Chen Beihai really is efficient. Mo Xiaoxi stood up in surprise, confirming again that it was human skin. I received a definite response. Mo Xiaoxi pinched her chin. After a moment, Chen Yin said that Mr. Chen Beihai's medical business is quite large. So, Mr. Cheng, do you have a treatment method? I do, but the materials are difficult to obtain. I need a piece of clean human skin from the back. Hearing that what was needed was human skin, Mo Xiaoxi suddenly revealed a smile. You can even see this. We really didn't find the wrong person. That's right, Miss Chen Yu has severe memory loss. Moreover, those who had relations with her have varying degrees of amnesia. Miss Chen Yu's lifestyle is quite chaotic. She has had contact with many people. The people in her dreams are all people she has been involved with her. Their memories have entered Miss Chen Yu's mind. Listen to what I'm saying. Let's go back and find that Dr. Soul. He must still have many things he's hiding from us. Then I arrived at Mo Shox's office. I got straight to the point and asked Dr. Mo, if I'm not mistaken, Zhao Banjing wonders if it could be retaliation from competitors. Perhaps they put a curse on his daughter, but Bai Shokshu says there may be another possibility. But maybe I'm overthinking it. However, it's useless for us to guess blindly here. I've heard that Chen Beihai was impoverished before the age of 30, and suddenly found enlightenment after turning 30, soaring into the sky. In just 10 short years, there is now wealth that could last a lifetime. There is clearly something wrong here. This is relatively mild. In the mind, there is only the memory of one person. There won't be confusion. I also thought of this Chen Yu. His father is the well-known entrepreneur Chen Beihai in the city. Actually, this type of soul sorcery also exists in Tibetan esoteric Buddhism. The so-called living Buddha reincarnation occurs after the previous Lama's death, devouring one's soul for the next generation. Naturally, this is the essence of all beings. Upon hearing this, Zhao Banshan and I couldn't help but gasp. This corpse conjuration is truly malicious. Bai Shokshu said. Shippo is the goddess of reproduction and destruction. The Shippo technique involves a woman engaging with multiple men. She absorbs a part of their souls and memories through her body. With countless memories, one gains centuries of life wisdom. The one who is great compassion and mercy is the living Buddhas. Not at all. This is an ancient evil art from ancient Indian Brahmanism. It's called Shippo technique. The Shippo technique is used to enlighten and clarify one's intentions. It is pretended to be the reincarnation of a deity, seemingly both joyful and sorrowful. Faces the myriad states of sentient beings. A flower, a world, able to dream of the suffering of all beings in dreams. Could it be that Chen Yushi has reincarnated? This woman embodies the appearance of all beings. The appearance of all beings refers to Avalokiteshvara, with 1,000 hands, 1,000 eyes, and 1,000 faces. Sometimes male, sometimes female, sometimes crying, sometimes smiling. Chen Yu has a face like this. He can see 1,000 different fates. There's no duplicate, but what I fear the most is that none of these fates belong to him. Bai Shokshu also stated, "We'll find him in his office shortly." Then we found a secluded corner. We began to discuss. Zhao Banshan said, just by looking at his face, her expression showed a strange mix of joy and sorrow, like countless faces blended together. It was honestly a little frightening to look at too. I told Mo Shoxi to wait a moment. We have something to discuss. Let's step outside for a moment. It's as if she is summoning something. Her phoenix eyes narrowed into crescent moons, as if she was smiling. One eye looked up, while the other looked down. But it's quite strange. It makes one feel uneasy. She has the angles and thick lips of a man, but also the charm of a woman, with her phoenix eyes furrowed, and said to the person inside, "Chen Yu, someone has come to see you." Seeing Chen Yu's appearance, the three of us couldn't help but take a few steps back. It's not that Chen Yu's face is particularly frightening. As soon as I heard this, isn't it the dream space? Before entering the door, Mo Shoxi reminded us that what we were about to see requires some mental preparation. Then he slowly opened the door. Once he falls asleep, he dreams that he has become someone else. Then he spends months or even years living those lives in his dreams. According to him, he has already experienced hundreds of years and dozens of different lives in his dreams. From her description, the symptoms seem quite peculiar. I'm afraid I can't handle it alone. They called Zhao Banxian, and Bai Shoxu. According to Mo Shoxi, this patient is very strange. Her face reflects the myriad states of existence. Today, another business opportunity has arrived. The guest's name is Mo Shoxi. She is a doctor. She has a patient under her care. I gently shook it, and the bell produced a crisp ringing sound. The Buddha says everyone has their own face. Each person has a different countenance, but this woman embodies the essence of all beings. And leisurely turned to leave. I picked up the walnut and observed it closely. I found this walnut to be very exquisite. It also had a small bell and a piece of talisman paper hanging from it. Lurking by your side. After saying that, he stood up and put away the photo. With a snap, he slammed a walnut on the table. I didn't expect you to come in on your own. Someone wants to harm you. That person is hiding very deep, maybe like me, already secretly changed souls. The few who died before were just the prelude. You're probably the last link. You still know nothing. It seems your grandfather didn't teach you much. He didn't want you to enter this line of work. Nothing has happened. Bai Shoxu took the photo. Her expression turned serious as she said, "Do you think nothing has happened? But in reality, you are already close to death. Someone has put a curse on you." Then I handed the photo of Chen Lei hanging from that tree to Bai Shoxu. I said it was the hanging appointment. It's something from childhood. The people involved all hanged themselves, but I haven't paid attention to it for the past 2 weeks. I can't just stand by and watch you get into trouble. Tell me about what's going on with you. Speaking of this matter, I couldn't help but feel nervous, so I found a reason to send Miao Qianqian away. What is she doing here? Bai Shoxu was playing with the wig she had just bought in front of the mirror. She mentioned that the last time she saw you, you looked like a corpse. You are the descendant of Mr. Cheng Da. Here is a deposit of 20,000. He'll transfer you 30,000 later. Miao Qianqian and I were both dumbfounded. We looked up. It turned out to be Bai Shoxu, but just thinking about how it's made makes me feel nauseous. I want her to take it away quickly. Unexpectedly, a voice suddenly came from outside the door. "I want that wig." From then on, the two of them lived together. However, Miao Qianqian's playful spirit was also precious. She even brought back the wig made with ghost hair techniques. Although this wig costs 50,000, and it's lifelike, it can be considered a satisfying conclusion. Later, I heard Miao Qianqian say that the matter was settled by Zhang Tianing's father, old Zhang. Zhao Rong was arrested by the police as a murderer. Zhang Tianing also took Xiao Hua away. Li Shan killed him without any hesitation. But even so, it's not a good idea to stay here long. Let Zhang Yi handle the rest. At this point, looking at Zhao Rong lying on the ground, I knew he had been backlashed, and it was Li Shan who killed him. Maybe it was because Xiao Hua escaped. Zhao Rong couldn't threaten her daughter's life either. It came behind Zhao Rong. In the next moment, those densely packed hairs transformed into sharp spikes. They pierced Zhao Rong directly. The hair ghost lost control of Zhao Rong. The hair that was wrapping around us also loosened. "And you let her go. Since you have ruined my plans, don't blame me for being rude." Just as Zhao Rong was about to control the ghost to silence us, the head worshipped on the incense table suddenly flew up with a whoosh. Zhao Rong ignored my words. He scanned the room. He found that Xiao Hua had run away. He turned and coldly asked, "Where is my daughter? I've raised her with so much effort for so many years. It tightly bound us. We couldn't move." Zhao Rong is simply inhuman. His wife is already dead. Yet he still wants to turn him into such a sinister hair weapon. He said fiercely, "You bastard. dare to ruin my good plans. Go to hell, Yunba. He flipped his palm over. The hair spirit formed from hair rushed towards us. The current buzzed ominously. Zhao Rong screamed a few times and then collapsed. Seeing him fall, Zhao Banxian and Zhang Tianing breathed a sigh of relief. Unexpectedly, the next second Zhao Rong stood up again. It was the hair ghost. I quickly took a few steps back. Then, I lunged forward and jabbed the stun gun at Zhao Rong's neck. A flash of electricity. I caught the stun gun steadily. I glanced at the door behind us that was about to be broken down. I thought, this time it's really a huge help. Just then, a few strands of hair suddenly seeped through the crack in the door. It was horrifying to watch. Seeing this, I immediately called Zhao Banjian and Zhang Tianing to block the door. I had Qian Qian take Xiao Hua and jump out the window. First, we escape. Miao Qian Qian was also decisive. She casually threw the stun gun to me, accompanied by an angry roar. Who is ruining my plans? Anyone who cuts off my source of income will die. It seems the spell has been broken. He noticed it soon. He can no longer control your life. Hearing that Xiao Hua is okay, Zhang Tianing excitedly hugged him tightly. But just then, a hurried sound of footsteps came from downstairs. The Qilin tattoo is complete. I asked Xiao Hua how she feels now. Xiao Hua said it feels like a string has snapped. Hearing this, I breathed a sigh of relief. That means the curse is gone. I will give you a tattoo. Then, with the help of Miao Qian and others, Xiao Hua's back was quickly shaved clean. I also started getting a tattoo. 3 hours later, I asked about Xiao Yue's birth date and time. After thinking for a moment, I said that your element is earth. The Qilin, a mythical creature in the 5 elements, belongs to fire. The talisman should be able to resolve it. You should shave the hair on your back. Even Zhao Banshan was moved. He turned to me and said, I know your banking rules. You can't refuse payment. I gave Xiaohu's money. You should smell it quickly. She made little figures from the hair that grew from her heart. She cast a voodoo spell. My life is in her hands. I can't escape. Seeing this scene, she comforted Xiao Hua. Come with me. I will take care of you. But Xiao Hua pushed her away. She said it was useless. You all go. After hearing about Xiao Hua's background, Miao Qian was furious. She couldn't help but curse. This old bastard looks so nice, but unexpectedly, he's a complete monster. Zhang Tianing draped her coat over Xiao Hua. That bastard was just in it for the money. Now they use my mother's corpse to cultivate corpse hair. Then they crush it and apply it to my body. He even made me hide in the dark room to seduce the men living here. She became useless. Her belly grew bigger day by day. Zhao Rong thought that the child born would definitely be just as useless, so she let my mother give birth to me. She continued to cast curses on me. The malicious Zhao Rong naturally did not want to touch my mother again. So he brought in some beggars and homeless people. Later, my mother was tormented to the point of being unrecognizable. Her hair turned white. The experiment was a success. Mother started to grow hair all over her body. But if the woman bound by the ghostly hair is not nourished by a man, the nutrients in her body will quickly deplete. The hair will wither. Growing long, it would be as smooth as real hair. Then it would be cut off and made into wigs to sell. It could earn a lot of money. That's how my mother became the first test subject. The hair and nails of the corpse continue to grow. It is the best material for casting curses. Zhao Rong ground the stolen hair from the corpse into a paste and applied it to the child. The hair would quickly thrive. It was either hitting or scolding. Later, I don't know where she learned some kind of evil sorcery. This sorcery required finding a person with a lot of body hair to cast the curse. Then, You would go to a graveyard to find corpses and hair that hadn't turned to dusty. Because after a person dies, my mother suffered from werewolf syndrome, also known as hairy child. Many people shunned her eyes, so she had no choice but to marry the lazy Zhao Rong. But Zhao Rong felt that he had married a monster and ordered her to absorb the tenant's yang energy. At this moment, tears welled up in Xiaohua's eyes. She began to talk about her own background. This story starts many years ago with my mother, Li Shan. She was also the first victim. On the surface, he's a kind and benevolent barber. To make money, he secretly uses dark magic to kill his wife. He offered her head on the altar. He also turned his daughter into a monster. He's also my father. He's the one who turned me into this. I frowned. Your father's salon owner downstairs, Zhao Rong, is just a pervert. Miao Qian immediately prepared to strike her again. Frightened, she quickly bowed and begged for mercy. I mean no harm. Please, let me go. The real culprit is the old man downstairs, but the wigs there cost 50,000 yuan each. Could this be sourced from there? I think it's quite possible. This is the long-haired girl who was just knocked out by Miao Qian. Xiaohua has woken up. It can make bald people grow long hair, but this method is extremely malicious. When it comes to hair, Zhang Tianing immediately thought of Zhao Rong's salon downstairs. Haircuts are very inexpensive. It's shiny and sleek. This is ghost hair. It's also an ancient tree from Miaojing. The hair is grown using the yin energy of ghosts and corpses. That hair can move like a living thing. This is an eerie incense burner. On it is offered a desiccated human head. Its eye sockets are hollow and dark. I don't know how long it has been sun-dried, but the hair on the head is extremely thick. This truly is a lovesick person. At that moment, Zhao Banshan seemed to have discovered something terrifying in the dark chamber. She was so scared that she kept retreating. She exclaimed about the malice. It's truly malicious. Don't break us apart. Xiaohua is actually very beautiful. She is also very kind. I love her. Upon seeing this scene, even Miao Qian couldn't help but exclaim. Hiding in the secret compartment of your room, and then came out pretending to be the cat to absorb your energy. Unexpectedly, Zhang Tianing threw himself onto the long-haired woman. Even if he is a monster or a powerful being, don't kill her. I like her. As the long-haired woman fell to the ground with a thud, Zhang Tianing exclaimed in shock, how could Xiaohua be too? I think he's really out of his mind. He still doesn't get it. Then he explained, this monster was impersonating your cat. The moment I opened the hidden compartment, a woman covered in black fur rushed out. She roared and lunged at me. Luckily, Miao Qian reacted quickly and stunned her with a taser. This little kitten is not an old cat. There's also no malice in it. She shouldn't have transformed into a demon. Then I looked around the house. I found what seemed to be a hidden compartment behind the cabinet. But Mioxian has indeed gotten used to it. You can see that too. This kid is already love-struck. Master Zhang asked us to come and see what's going on. Zhao Banxian also found this little cat a bit strange. She appears in front of me and talks to me. We only became involved after getting to know each other deeply. It's not as sordid as you say. Seeing his reaction, I also have some words to say, and pulled it into his arms. I said that Xiaohua and I are truly in love. Even if she is a demon, she is still a good demon. Every night when it's quiet. Look at you, so pale and thin. This little tabby cat can even transform into a human to bother you. Zuha, little mischievous spirit. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Zhang Tianing excitedly snatched the kitten away. He even lost one of his slippers. Yet he was still trying to explain that he didn't let Miao Qian speak recklessly. Miao Qian was also quite outgoing. He picked up the kitten. He joked, "Your dad says you've been possessed recently." With a bang, the door was opened. Zhang Tianning shouted, "I heard you don't even spare cats." Miao Qianqian caught him off guard. Zhang Tianning was immediately flustered. Boss Wen Yan smiled and said, "You're looking for Xiaoning. You can just go up from here." But the boss said something about a chance encounter. We headed up to the second floor. Miao Qianqian was not being polite. The barber shop owner came out. He asked if we wanted haircuts. Miao Qianqian said, "We are here to find someone. I heard you are the landlord. The person we are looking for is on the second floor." She said that his father has a friend in the underworld named Zhang Ye. His son, Zhang Tianning, has recently encountered something strange. Seeing that there are still barbershops where you can get a haircut for just 6 yuan these days, even Zhao Banjian couldn't help but call it a model of integrity in the industry. When we were standing at the door, "This is a strange barber shop. A haircut only costs 6 yuan, but a wig costs 50,000. Not long after the incident in Sui, Miao Qianqian introduced me to a single business. Have much to say. He placed his human skin doll into the brazier. Safe travels. Dust to dust. Ashes to ashes. This century-long feud has finally come to an end. It's good that it ends with me. At least he can live carefree for another 6 or 7 years. Brother Cheng, burn me. I want to be reincarnated. This time, I don't. Isn't there any other way?" "No, didn't I tell you?" Shu Yu regretfully said, "I was the one who harmed him." This was a tragedy from the start, a hatred passed down for 100 years. The Bai family line has truly been cut off by us. These words were also heard by Bai Xiaoxu outside. At this moment, her feelings were very complicated. Shu Yu then continued, "That's right. Xiaoxu can really only live for 6 or 7 more years, using my body. This was my own choice. Please don't make things difficult for Xiaoxu. Actually, my grandfather left several powerful methods to prevent the Bai family from seeking revenge, but I didn't use them. If Xiaoxu were to die, then I obtained Shu Yu's human skin doll. I was ready to burn it to send her to the afterlife. I never expected Shu Yu to appear in the mirror at that moment. She bowed to me and Zhao Bangxian repeatedly. She expressed her thanks to both of us. Well, send her off. Once someone is dead, don't torment them anymore. Let the grudges between your two families end here." Bai Xiaoxu chuckled softly. She agreed. "Instead, you killed him. To seize his soul, you had me tattoo a delicate pagoda. You also wanted to suppress Shu Yi's spirit. That's right, so it is. Give me the human skin doll that seals Shu Yi's soul." Upon hearing that name, I understand everything now. So I turned and said, "You are the branch of the Bai family that escaped. Shu Yu wanted to commit suicide, kill, and tattoo the soul. But you turned the tables on him." With that thought, I cautiously asked, "May I ask your surname?" He glanced at me, stood up, dressed, and replied, "My surname is Bai. Bai Xiaoxu, pleased to meet you." After soul snatching, the soul and body were not in harmony, and he only lived for 7 years. Just a mere 7 years. Yet he managed to revitalize the Xu family line. What terrifying tactics! So, the person in front of me isn't Shu Yu at all. Bai Shu's family member died suddenly 7 years after returning home. He passed away in the prime of life. After hearing the whole story, I fell silent. I thought to myself, it truly is soul-snatching. In the end, a great scheme was played. The Bai family changed their surname to Shu. The vast estate of the Bai family was actually destroyed by their own woman, Bai Shui Xuan. From that day on, the Bai family ceased to exist. Later, Bai Shui gave birth to a child. With her astonishing abilities, thoroughly The empty family secretly clashed with their colleagues. The methods were extremely ruthless. Those who were killed lost their courage. Her singing talent was outstanding and exceptional. She took on the heavy responsibility of the theater troupe. Her skills were also remarkably impressive. She quickly rose to a high position in the family. She even helped the family expand its influence. I wondered if I could get some information. Then I cleared my throat and asked if he could tell me what happened afterward. What happened to Shu Qing's wife later? Shu Yuyu turned his head and smiled mischievously. Later, Shu Qing's wife, Bai Shui, returned to her family's home. No wonder Grandpa later laughed maniacally at the actor. He must have also realized it. The pregnant woman he took out was clearly Su Qing herself. Thinking of this, I forced myself to calm down, but in fact, it was his own skin puppet, to deceive Grandpa into performing a ritual, and imprint his soul into his wife's body. Isn't this basically a soul-stealing technique? What a grand deception. At most, they can only live for another 7 or 8 years. Human skin puppet soul-snatching technique. Could it be that Shu Qing peeled off his own skin? He said it was made into silver leather, for his wife to sell for money. This malicious technique will harm one's moral standing. It can shorten a life by more than 10 years, and that person who survived the soul-snatching technique has stolen someone else's body. The soul and body are not in harmony. To make a puppet, then you invite a master to perform a ritual. To drill your soul into someone else's body, then you can squeeze the other person's soul into the puppet and take over their body and side, because life is like a play. Actors cover their ears while stealing a bell, changing heaven and earth. There is a kind of soul-stealing technique in this world. First, you peel off your own skin, and the mask surprisingly returned to its original state. So I quickly said it was nothing, and began the tattoo. This reminded me that my grandfather seemed to have mentioned some past events. He said he was fascinated. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but get goosebumps all over. The sturgeon saw that I hadn't started for a long time, and asked me what was wrong. But I was just a bit distracted for a moment. Is it now possible to tattoo the Tower of True Understanding that we mentioned earlier? I said, that's a separate issue. This tower is the main design. Let him sit for a moment. I picked up the ink bucket and prepared to start tattooing him. That's fine. The opera of this era has already declined. There's no need to rely on this craft to make a living. I nodded. He placed the human skin in the toolbox. At that moment, Shu Yuyu asked me anxiously, let Xiaoxu's spirit continue to protect you, but you must give me the original draft of the human skin. This thing can't be passed down to the next generation. Then Shu Yuyu took out a wrinkled piece of human skin and handed it to me. She said, our lineage ends with me. So I secretly made her take sleeping pills. I killed her and took her soul. Now she stays with me all the time. Since that's the case, I won't hold you accountable for this favor. That period of time was the happiest in my life. Later, I confessed everything to her. Kind-hearted Xiaoxu knew she didn't have much time left, yet she agreed to my request. She was willing to become my tattoo. Mr. Cheng, there are still some things I want to tell you. The one I have tattooed on my body is my girlfriend Xiaoxu. Xiaoxu has leukemia. I originally wanted to trick her into falling in love with me. In the end, I got myself caught up in it, and coldly said, the curse to map bestowed upon your Shu family years ago has now been used for heinous deeds. Is there any meaning in taking it back now? Tears welled up in Shu Yiyu's eyes. I laughed and cried a little. Zhao Banshan was so angry, he trembled all over. Cursed, saying you're nothing but scum. Even a terminal illness isn't as perfect as you. I pressed Wenzhen against his neck. It's like stealing a bell while covering your ears. Change the heavens and the earth, I learned that the Shu family has always sought out those suffering from terminal illnesses to win their affection. Then at the moment of death, they kill to take the marriage. Shui calmly stated that our family has always sought out opposite sexes suffering from terminal illnesses to win their affection and wait for them to fall in love with us. We just wait for him to be on the brink of death to take his soul. It's like the soul-snatching technique with the skin puppet, but I know the viciousness of this situation lies in the fact that one must kill the person they love most to create this design. So each generation of the Shu family must have killed their other half. I pointed it out on the spot. Cheng Shun was deeply moved. This portrayal struck a chord. Shu Qing's wife later became a renowned performer thanks to this painting. This infamous painting has also been passed down. It became a secure livelihood for the Shu family. Shu Qing suddenly raised the sword in his hand. He sang with his own death. Blood dripped from his neck. He continued to sing mournfully. After watching this performance, holding the precious sword, he sang "Farewell, My Concubine," the actor's swan song, a melody that will be remembered through the ages. This song captures the despair of the Overlord at the end of his road vividly, when singing the part where the Overlord takes his own life at the Wu River. It is something that cannot be heard by anyone else. Even those who do not listen to operas will watch it with rapt attention. It is surely worth my husband tattooing it for my wife. After finishing his words, he began to play two roles. It was Cheng Shun who rejected this deal. He turned and continued to paint. But Shu Qing was unwilling to give up. He drew his sword and said, "I have a performance. You can only sing it once in a lifetime. We do not hear the souls of people. It harms the heavens and the earth." Moreover, Cheng Shun wasn't listening to the opera at that time. Even if he is a renowned noble in the province, it wouldn't matter, so that he could keep performing opera and have the strength to survive, allowing the Shu family line to continue. Cheng Shun is not without compassion. It's just that our industry has rules. So he asked Sung Hoon, as a fellow artisan, to grant his wife a ghost tattoo. He would repay the tattoo with his opera performances. He requested that the spirit pattern be inked on his wife to protect her, almost like a real person. It could even sing on its own. It was a highly coveted treasure. He had also long heard of Cheng Shun's talent in painting landscapes with one stroke, and his craft of piercing ghosts with a single needle. So, before he died, he made a decision. He asked his wife to skin him. Legend has it that the skin of a top opera performer was flayed and turned into a doll inside a leather chair. Lifelike. Shu Qing is a smart man. He knows his skills are worth a fortune. He can make a comeback wherever he goes, but without his wife and children, even if he escaped the famine, he would have no means to live. My grandfather saw Shu Qing was willing to cut his flesh for his wife and children, and thought he was also a person with deep feelings and loyalty. So he agreed to help, but he could only send him out himself. He can't support his wife and children for a lifetime. His wife and unborn child would not survive either. But when he saw that man, he felt a sense of hope. So he knelt down and pleaded with that man to save his wife. And that man was my grandfather, Cheng Shun. His grandfather cut off his own flesh for his grandmother to eat. At the end of his rope, his grandfather met a benefactor. He also knew that he was nearing death. If he died, in chaotic times, there are casualties. There was no food. Even the landlords had to flee. There was no food. To ensure the survival of the Shu family line, the connection between our two families dates back to the last century. In the 18th year of the Republic, a drought struck Shaanxi. His grandfather, Shu Qingyuan, was a prominent figure during the Republic. But in prosperous times, there are entertainers. You better tell me how you came by this painting. Wen Yan Shu Yiyu sighed. I never expected to meet a descendant of the Cheng family here. It must be fate's arrangement. I asked how my family's ancestral cursed tattoo could be on you. Unexpectedly, Su Yiyu countered my question. Is your last name Cheng? Did you have an ancestor named Cheng Sun? Cheng Shun is my grandfather. This ghost stabbing painting was created by him, revealing the face tattoo on her chest. The moment I saw the tattoo, I couldn't help but freeze for a moment. With a swift motion, I pressed the needle against her throat. I was also a bit confused. How can you get a tattoo without taking off your clothes? Besides, we are a few big men here. What's there to be shy about? Su Yiyu shyly took off her top. I took out my tools and got ready to give him a tattoo. Let him take off his shirt, but when he heard me say to take off his clothes, he looked very flustered. Seeing his reaction like this situation might be caused by bad feng shui. Evil energy has entered his body, but it's not a big deal. So I decided to tattoo him with the Linglong Pagoda of the Towering King, to settle his soul, especially children. Once they are scared, they can feel dazed all day long. He was scared out of his wits. I need to find a shaman to call back his soul. Even when I daydream during the day, I feel this way. I thought about it, and this might be what it means to be absent-minded. Many people have experienced this. I don't know if you've ever tried this while sleeping, just lying in bed, suddenly feeling light. The soul feels like it's floating away, slowly leaving the body. Zhao Bangxian began to explain the purpose of this visit. You said there's a problem with the feng shui of your house. What's going on? Su Yiyu took off her wig and said, it's not the room that's wrong. It's me that's wrong. We quickly clapped and cheered. The Shaanxi opera singing is truly exceptional. Hanging for 3 days, it never stops ringing in the ears. After the performance, Chun Yu performed a segment for us live. His gestures were powerful and striking. He sang while calling out. It was vivid and lifelike. Zhao Bangxian and I were watching from the side. He often said that opera is like life. Life is like a play. Sometimes I watch and cry. Today, I can see it up close. It's truly rare. Shu Yi wanted to perform a scene from Farewell My Concubine for us. This is their family's traditional skill. I nodded. When I was a child, my grandfather loved to listen to opera. That day, Zhao Banjian introduced me to a guest. His name is Shu Yi. He is an online streamer. She gained some fame online for playing Yuji. As soon as we met, he believed it was an interpretation that allowed mortals to become divine. He called it the God's perspective, and he never thought about putting his eyes back. That day, he asked me to help him get a tattoo, to drive away evil spirits. In contrast, a fly's compound eyes can see nearly 350 degrees of vision, but human eyes are separate from the eye socket. In fact, you can almost see a 360-degree perspective. Chu Taoze accidentally opened up this perspective. From then on, he became addicted. He is dead. Upon hearing the news of Shu Taozuo's death, the three of us were taken aback. Then, Shu Taoyao began to tell us in detail. The human eye can see about 120 degrees of vision from the eye socket, approximately 180 degrees. Shu Taoyao started by saying that the urban research woman making a stir in the city recently is her sister. I was a bit confused. Did she come all this way just to tell me this? So I asked about her sister. Unexpectedly, Shu Taoyao shook her head and said, "Sister, but I don't have time to play these games with him." He pushed him away. Let him go. A few more days passed. Shu Taoji's sister, Su Taoyao, found me. This video has recently become popular in their supernatural circle. It's called The Urban Hanging-Eyed Woman. Zhang Chiming noticed my interest in this matter and thought I was also interested in these things, wanting to invite me to go with him another day, with a strange smile on his face. I was so scared that I threw the phone away. This person is indeed Shu Taoxie, but this is really scary. According to Zhang Chiming, it has nothing to do with the Yaksha picture. He died by his own hand. A week later, I saw Shu Taoxie on Zhang Chiming's phone. In the video, he was holding 2 eyeballs. Shu Taoxie's Yaksha tattoo is also completed. Then, he put on his clothes and waved goodbye to me. What I didn't expect was, he ultimately still died. But he didn't die at the hands of that ghost behind him. After discussing the price, I took Shu Taoju into the tattoo room. The tattoo has started. Time flies quickly. The sun sets in the west. The spirit is in the picture. It's simple and poses no risk. Just exorcism. Better not touch the ghost needle picture for now. Shu Taoju also has no objections. Staring at the ghost behind, the ghost won't dare to possess anymore. Besides, the Yasha is a righteous deity, not the ancestral ghost design I have. No need to catch it. Shu Taoxie was applying eye drops, while asking me if the cause of my illness is clear now, and if it can be cured. I thought for a moment. I ultimately decided to give him a Yasha tattoo. The Yasha has fierce, bulging eyes, but normally, when a ghost possesses someone, it covers their eyes. This is what is commonly referred to as ghost covering the eyes. But this ghost instead holds your eyelids open, so that you might die from just sneezing. That's quite a strange tale. I have to wear glasses to cover my eyes, to keep them from falling out. After listening to Shu Taoju's story, Zhao Bangxian beside him said this is a possession by a ghost. It wants to take your life. So now you understand, right? That ghost forced my eyelids open. It wouldn't let me close my eyes. As soon as I sneeze, my eyeballs, without the protection of my eyelids, will pop out. Sneeze. The eyeballs nearly popped out, but Shu Tao seemed to be quite used to it. He quickly pushed the eyeballs back in. He adjusted his glasses. He rubbed it against his nose a few times. Then he sneezed. His eyes popped out with a bang. They solidly hit the eyes. This scene really scared both of us. As for the reason, I'll tell you now. Hearing him say that, Zhao Bangxian and I both looked at him. We saw Shu Taoxie take out a feather. Him dying. Just a little more. Him clearly an ophthalmologist correcting myopias, yet him wearing glasses. This is already strange. At that moment, Shu Taoju's eyes suddenly widened. With a look of terror, I said, I can't open my eyes. The dead man was lying on my back, reaching out to hold my eyelids open. It was like a speculum preventing me from opening my eyes. It should be the ghost, led by the one lying on his back. Shu Taoju asked me if I noticed anything different about him. I was taken aback for a moment. Then I observed him carefully for a while, but I didn't find anything unusual. Then he would tear it apart. That feeling was really terrifying. After hearing the whole story, I understand now. So it means, missed the best chance for rescue. Later, his eyes and brain became infected, and he died. It was from that day on that he started having nightmares every day. He dreamed of digging out his own eyeball, even if they fall out. As long as you quickly put them back into the eye socket, it can be remedied. But that man was struggling too much. We couldn't hold him down, and his eyelids were very thin. Once the eyelid retractor was applied, his eyelids just burst open. Both eyeballs fell out. A person's eyes are connected to the extraocular muscles, specializing in retinal correction surgery. Armont Agu. While he was performing surgery on a patient, a medical accident occurred. The man might have had an angle closure surgery. I looked at Shu Taoju and also felt something strange. I tentatively asked, It seems like you are also a doctor. Logically speaking, you shouldn't believe what we say being involved in these unorthodox practices. What's going on? It turns out Shu Taoje is an ophthalmologist. She said she hadn't slept well for over a month. I heard that this place can treat some illnesses that ordinary doctors can't, so I came here. At that moment, Zhao Banjian, who was standing beside me, said that this woman had a hunchback and stooped posture. It was as if someone was lying on her. He told me to be careful. At that moment, a woman came over to greet us. The woman introduced herself as Shu Taoze. She wore black-framed glasses. Her eye sockets were very dark and heavy. She looked lethargic. The locust tree raises corpses. Old locust trees have complex patterns. They come in all sorts of strange shapes, but the creation of human faces is somewhat frightening. I looked at the locust tree in the photo and couldn't think of anything. I really don't know when I will die a strange death. So I called Zhao Banshan to join me. I gave him the photo of the tree where Chen Lei hanged himself back then. Zhao Banshan took a look at the photo and immediately exclaimed that it was eerie. The locust tree raises ghosts. She actually appeared on the street, holding her own eyeballs in the early morning. At this point, more than half a month has passed since the Ning Ke corpse raising incident. We have just barely managed to pull ourselves away from this strange and terrifying event. I have also deeply realized my own shortcomings. There are too many strange and terrifying things in this world. We hurriedly ran outside. Ning Ke tightly held onto Xiao Jin. The bride's face is full of happiness. This way, we can be together forever. In a moment of desperation, I'm willing. After saying that, he pulled out a lighter from his pocket. He threw it at the two traffickers. The two traffickers ignited instantly. The fire began to spread to the surroundings. But Ning Ke does not feel regret. Lying in a pool of blood, he simply said, "Well, let it be. Let's die together. You can bring me back to life. I have one last thing to say to you. Merely a remnant of a person's soul, attached to the flesh. Ultimately, it will only turn into a bloodthirsty monster." He turned people into zombies. Now he can only reap what he has sown. He wanted to be with Xiao Jin forever. Seeing this scene, Zhao Banshan couldn't help but sigh. In this world, there is no such thing as resurrection. Zombies are, so we could share joy every day. After saying this, Xiao Jin's breath changed completely. He bit down hard on Nink's shoulder. But Ning Ke held on even tighter, unwilling to let go. But Nink didn't care. Instead, she hugged Xiao Jin tightly. "You were born before I was. I was born after you were old. I regret not being born at the same time. How could he possibly kill him?" He even smiled and said, "I won't kill you. I want to be with you forever." Xiao Jin looked at Ning Ke's determined eyes. Suddenly, with a fierce look, he said, "Then we can only die together. Just kill me already. Who did you learn your skills from? That person at least reads that he is deceiving you. I will turn into a zombie." But Ning Ke went through great difficulty to revive him. "It was I who saved you. You came back to life. No one in this world can separate us anymore." Wing Yan Xiao Jin appears to be in great pain. Holding his head, he trembles and asks. He didn't know where he was. He also realized that he was already dead. How did he come back to life? Ning Ke excitedly hugged Xiao Jin tightly. The bride murmurs. It turned out that Sharksin was still a corpse. It actually turned into a corpse. Seeing his beloved come back to life, Ning Ke appeared very excited, but the revived Xiao Jin had a confused look on his face. Incense was offered in worship, holding some strange ceremony. Could there really be something to this? In the next moment, Ning Ke bit his lip. He kissed Sharksin on the face. Then Ning Ke shakily walked towards Xiao Jin. He gently stroked his hair. Seeing this scene, I suddenly felt that something was off. He even placed Sharksin on the incense altar. Let's not make a big deal out of this. At this moment, Ningke had no intention of struggling anymore. He only wished to hold Xiaojin one more time. I nodded. I agreed to his request. She kept an eye out. She secretly followed us and saved us. Otherwise, we wouldn't know how serious things could get. Then I walked up to Ning Kuo. I said, leave it at that. They naturally have a duty to help out in the underworld. Seeing that they had arrived, I hurriedly called Li Shan over to help untie us. This time, I was indeed reckless. Fortunately, Miao Qianqian was attentive. A stick came down solidly on Ningque's head. It turned out that Miao Qianqian had brought Li Shan along. Li Shan is also one of my regular customers. Everyone is friends here. When a brother is in trouble, who dares to cause trouble here? Seeing someone trying to stir up trouble, Ningque quickly rushed forward. Just as he was about to reach Zhang Taiming, suddenly a shadow darted out behind Zhang Taiming with a whoosh. And by the way, save me too. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. The chubby kid, Zhang Taiming, burst in. Holding a phone, he shouted, "Your grandpa, Zhong Kui, the Heavenly Master, is here. These two are human traffickers. I captured them to make an oil field. That's also a way to rid society of harm." I advised him to quit while he could, but at this moment, Ningque was completely lost. At this moment, I noticed the corpse again. He even brought that corpse over. What is he trying to do? Ningque held a small bottle of human oil and smiled at us, saying, "Do you see this? This is our shop's signature rose essential oil." Was so terrifying that I couldn't speak for a long time. At this moment, I saw Ningque using a small bottle to collect human oil from the two people in the corner. No matter how they wailed, Ningque remained unmoved. Zhao Banjian and I were knocked out for exposing Ningque's true identity. He knocked us out. When I woke up again, I had already been tied up by Ningque. The scene before me, I saw him stride forward. With a swift chop of his hand, he knocked me out cold. Then, he grabbed Zhao Banjian, the shadowy lover of yin and yang, Yu Miao, and the ancient tree of the Miao tribe. Extremely malicious. He wants to catch us off guard. Seeing him run so fast, I immediately followed him. But Ningque has eaten people for so many years. You don't get something for nothing. Upon hearing this, Zhao Banxian immediately understood. He immediately turned and ran away. He didn't forget to remind me to run quickly. That bastard is just a demon. He never intended to talk things over from the beginning. And then I might be saved too. After saying that much, I had no choice but to agree to give him the tattoo. But it would have to wait until tomorrow. However, Ningque said he couldn't wait until tomorrow. But if you don't tattoo me, I have one last resort. That is to capture you and put a curse on you. Zhong Mai wants you to rot away with me. That way, you'll have to save yourself. Those traffickers are utterly immoral. They deserve what they get. I am here to rid the world of evil. But whether to tattoo or not, to save me or not is up to you. Sharksin is dead. Without him to extract bone oil for you, your face started rotting. So you asked me to tattoo you. I've told you my story as well. He had long considered Xiaojin as his own family. He had listened to the entire story. Zhao Banxian pointed at him and asked, "So you're still supporting human traffickers? Not only do you use human oil to nourish your skin, but you also replace essential oils with it for your beauty business." Though the tears seeped into his pores, it hurt terribly, but for some reason, when he recalled these moments, his tears still couldn't be stopped. We still can't stop the erosion of diseases. Sharksin just passed away like this. Heaven has been really unfair to me. When feelings run deep, Ningque's tears flowed continuously. Wherever we went, we planted rice. Many years passed like this. Unfortunately, dwarfs naturally have a shorter lifespan than ordinary people. After so much effort, we finally reached today. Even if we use few rice for a long time, Xiao Jin learned to measure rice. Ordinary adults were no longer his match. Xiao Jin hated the human traffickers who sold us, so he captured them and planted rice on them. Otherwise, no one would be able to move me. It was also from that day on that he gave me a new name, Ningguo. It means better to be lacking than to have too much. I learned the art of rice magic. This face cannot be cured. I can only regularly release the warts to keep it from decaying. If he is gone, I will also die. But only if he dies. Xiaojun suddenly appeared behind her and smashed a large rock heavily on her head. I was stunned when I saw this scene. Then Shoxin told me that I had been cursed. I kept my mouth shut. I just couldn't eat it. Seeing that I wasn't eating, the spicy oil lady decided to eat it herself. But just then, eating it is very nourishing. That's my secret to staying young forever. While saying this, she didn't forget to forcefully shove the freshly cooked rice into my mouth. She wanted me to taste what the rice I grew actually tasted like. I let out a hum. Xiao Jin stood by and nodded. I didn't say anything. Then the rice oil woman took the rice off my face. She cooked it into rice. She said this rice absorbed the nutrients and essence of living people, feeding with greasy stuff, making a person sweet with rice. The oil that seeps out of a person is the best thing to water the rice grains. The wheat oil woman sprinkled rice on me. At the same time, she introduced this poisonous rice from Miaojing to ENGSUB. I was itching like crazy. I wanted to scratch so badly but was tied up. I couldn't move at all. At that moment, the wheat oil woman brought a basin of rice. She grabbed a handful and pressed it against my face. He kept forcing me to eat oil, until the oil started to ooze from my face. He then placed a bunch of bugs on my face. My pores were stretched open by these bugs. The bugs were crawling in and out of my pores. From now on, you'll learn the trade from me. At the time, I didn't understand what he meant, but soon after, he threw me hard into the woodshed. In the days that followed, after arriving at the oil vendor's house, we both started to eat ravenously. While we were eating, the oil vendor suddenly said to Shoxin, "You're a good one. Someone can continue my craft now." He gave us fried bread to eat. We all felt he was a good person. He asked us if we wanted to eat fried bread every day. Of course we did, so we followed him home. He was actually an adult in his 20s, suffering from dwarfism. He helped me escape with him. With no one to rely on, we had to beg on the streets. The real tragedy of my life actually begins with that oil seller. The first time we met him, in the next second, the white rice got embedded in his face. So that's how the holes in his face came to be. Then Ningguo began to recall his tragic life, back when I was abducted with Xiao Jin, at the same age. Although Xiao Jin looked like a child, that way, even if I die, I won't feel regret. You all better pay attention. Speak firmly. But he pulled out a handful of white rice from his pocket. He suddenly threw it in his face. She is my foster mother, and she is the person I love most. Since you all have seen her, let me tell you something. There are some things I've been holding in for half my life that I want people to know. It's all retribution. Better to have none than to have many. But I still ended up with many. Let me introduce you to my wife, Shoxin. She raised me. But you weren't angry. Instead, you laughed even more recklessly. Actually, I know full well there's no saving me. But I still cling to a sliver of hope. After all, I've killed too many people in my life. I suddenly felt my scalp tingle. But I still forced myself to calm down. This shows that boss This isn't something you can fix with a protective tattoo. What's with the mummified corpses worshipped here and the people in the club? I exposed everything on the spot. What an honor. He even brought a friend. Have you sorted out your tattoo plan? Am I still saved? Being asked like that by him. And one tattoo artist. We can't afford to mess with them. Let's get out of here. Just as he finished speaking, a voice came from behind. Mister, you came to my salon for a beauty treatment. Seeing this scene, Zhao Banjian expressed his extreme fear. This Ning Ke is probably from a Miao village. The customs of ghostly lovers are all from that side. We have one fortune teller. Eventually, we saw a strange door in the corridor on the top floor. This should be the place. When we opened the door, we were both stunned by what we saw inside. Inside was a small incense hall. In the middle stood a dry corpse, dressed in a red wedding gown. Don't be timid, since we're already here. We should at least see what's real. Then Zhao Banshan and I started wandering around this beauty salon. But we just couldn't find that rose oil. Everyone walks their own path. We walk our own narrow bridge. We travel together, not as enemies. Seeing him so timid, I can't help but feel speechless. I lift him up, his oil taken from living people. The moment Zhao Bianxian saw the human oil, he knew he had encountered a peer. Turning his head and grabbing my hand, he said, "Little oil brother, let's go. We can't mess with people like this." Started to vomit uncontrollably. He turned to me and said in a trembling voice that this stuff isn't rose oil at all. The oil of the living is extracted from living people. This unscrupulous beauty salon actually uses human oil for skincare. So-called human oil. I was enjoying this top-notch service. I didn't say much. Zhao Banshan was also laughing beside me. But once the two technicians left the room, Zhao Banshan suddenly, he even talked to me about the payment as we walked. He said he wants half of the reward once it's done. Then we began our beauty and skincare routine. The technician enthusiastically introduced us to the shop's signature rose oil. They also said that applying it would guarantee I look 10 years younger. We've decided to go in for a full treatment. Whether it's a human or a ghost, we'll know if we sneak out to take a look. Look at me walking ahead. Zhao Banshan has no more concerns. This person is destined to achieve nothing. But now you say he has found a master. He has used dark arts to change his fate. It's quite possible. However, since we have already arrived at the beauty salon, I'm afraid he used some sort of dark arts. I've seen his face before. It looks empty and lifeless. His official career is dim. This is a typical sign of failure. I think it's necessary to invite Zhao Banshan to take a look at this matter. Then I went to the beauty salon he mentioned, holding the 2 beauty cards Ning Ke gave me. Zhao Banshan said that this boss Ning at such a young age has such a big business. Something doesn't add up here. Boss Ning is not destined for wealth, but what Zhao Xiaoli and Xiao Ru have been up to lately is too bizarre. I need to be cautious, so I let him go back first. I need to think of a way first. After sending Ning Ke off, "Sir, you have to save me." Seeing him holding his head in pain, I thought to myself, there are indeed birds with tattoos that can drive away insect beasts. The golden-winged roc, the phoenix, and eagles can all do it. I feel like something is crawling on me. It's biting me, but when I turn on the light, there's nothing there. It's mites. They're crawling on me, but I can't find them. It must be a ghost. Sir, please take a good look. My girlfriend Shoxine passed away suddenly from heart disease not long ago. Strange things have been happening these past few days. These past few nights while sleeping, I always hear faint, sparse sounds. I work in beauty. Many people have mites on their faces. Enlarged pores on the face may be mite pores. They burrow into your pores. I'm going to remove my makeup." He said he had seen a ghost. He asked me to help him. Before I could say anything, he hurriedly closed the door. Then he turned around and said, "You all know about mites, right?" Although he was a man, he wore heavy makeup on his face, giving off a somewhat androgynous vibe. I asked him what kind of tattoo he wanted. Suddenly, he grabbed my hand. I originally intended to go back and investigate what happened back then. But I didn't expect that as soon as I returned to the shop, a customer came in. The visitor claimed to be Ning Cho, the owner of a beauty salon. I waved goodbye to Zhao Bangxian. I was preparing to find someone to investigate what happened back then. If someone told you that your face turning out like this is caused by mites, would you believe it? That day, after saying goodbye to Zhao Bangxian, the seatbelt strangled his neck. Zhao Xiaoliu was bound hand and foot and eaten. Xiao Ru jumped off the building and got tangled in the wires. Is this what they call a hanging agreement? To clear the doubts in my heart, you will all hang like I did. This is our hanging pact. Looking at the content of this email, I couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. I thought about Zhang Shun's car accident before. Chen Lai was bullied terribly. He jumped into the river to commit suicide. After he was pulled out, he hanged himself at school. Before he died, he left a note under that old locust tree that none of you four can escape. And because of that, I ended up bedridden with a high fever for half a month. But later I heard that Chen Lei, who was pulled out, couldn't be saved and died. However, things back then were clearly not that simple. Xiaoru's email said that you were sick at that time. I don't know what happened afterward. We were childhood friends who grew up together, but Chen Lei was often bullied. That winter, Chen Lei fell into the river. I went to save her. It has to be him. It has to be him. Seeing the name Chen Lei again, a girl with freckles and a bit chubby instantly appeared in my mind. When we were kids, he, Zhang Shun, Zhao Xiaoliu, Xiao Rong, and I, the five of us were always together. But if you see this, it means I am already dead. The incident that happened back then, you were also one of the parties involved. Do you remember Chen Lei? It was an email from Xiao Ru. The timestamp was from the night of the cat's expulsion. Could it have been scheduled to send? The email stated that if I was still alive, I would retract this letter. You look unwell, Zhao Xiaojie. Have you recently gotten involved with something unclean? Hearing his words, I was momentarily stunned as well. The next second, my phone rang. After letting out a sigh, the frustration in my heart eased a little. At that moment, Zhao Banshan looked at my face and suddenly asked, "But speaking of which, I noticed something off about your appearance. No matter what, we've already done our best. If Xiaoru had ended up with me, it would have been even worse. I understand his good intentions." Zhao Banxian has also heard about Xiaoru's case. They told me to let it go. After all, in our line of work, it's inevitable to deal with life and death. No need to feel too guilty. All things have spirits. Karma exists. I still couldn't save Xiao Ru. I feel very guilty about this. I even specially sought out Zhao Banxian. We shouldn't have tortured the cat. Help. Now I understand. Xiao Ru wasn't pregnant with a cat fetus at all. But it was those 3 college students who abused the cat. This is the cat spirit's revenge. I was shaking all over. I had no idea what was going on. At that moment, 3 ghostly infants crawled out of Xiao Ru's belly. They kept wailing mournfully, "Spare us, we were wrong." But just a few days before Xiao Ru's due date, something happened. Xiao Ru went up to the rooftop and jumped off. On the way down, she got tangled in the wires and fell to her death. Looking at the scene before me, I was scared to death. "Don't worry," Xiao Ru cried and agreed. "After experiencing a life and death situation tonight, Xiaoru was really planning to do as I asked. This did put my mind at ease a lot. I thought things would be wrapping up soon. I hurried over to comfort her, saying it's okay. It's okay that thing won't dare to come back for a short while. You should give birth to the child, resolve its resentment, then this matter should be over. After the black cat left, the shadow of Zhong Kui on Zhang Chiming gradually dissipated. He leaned against the wall panting and said, "So there are really ghosts in this world." I was scared to death, but Xiaoru seemed to be still trapped in the fear of the black cat and unable to extricate herself. The explosion startled the demon into shameful retreat. A majestic voice reprimanded from thin air. The black cat spirit trembled violently all over. It eventually transformed back to its original form. It jumped down from the nearby window. She ripped off his shirt in one motion. Kui Xing stripping the bucket. Zhong Kui capturing ghosts. Zhong Kui appears. Suddenly, a thunderous sound erupted from behind Zhang Chiming's back. As soon as I entered, I saw the hellhound battling the black cat spirit. Suddenly, a huge shadow appeared behind the black cat spirit. With just one move, it sent the hellhound flying. Seeing that the three-headed hellhound was no match for the heroic black cat, Miao Qianqian quickly pushed Zhang Chiming forward. I thought to myself that this was not good. Sure enough, the next second, I heard barking from not far away. The cat spirit has come. I rushed to Xiaoru's house. No matter how Miao Qianqian called her, she didn't respond. Suddenly, Zhang Chiming shivered all over. She turned her head and said in terror, "Big brother, big sister, did you just see that woman in black with a cat face?" Hearing cat face, a woman in black suddenly appeared, bringing a chill with her. Absolutely, I felt a bit chilling, but I didn't think much of it. However, Zhang Chiming stood there staring blankly. Seeing Miao Qianqian's recent moves, I couldn't help but sigh. I thought to myself, this girl has really fallen into a money pit. Her calculations are sharper than anyone else's. Before long, from now on, stick with your sister. The picture behind you will be my investment in you. Keep pushing your luck. You'll earn money through live streaming in the future. We share the profits equally. I had him carry Zhong Kui on his back. I'm not afraid of any demons or monsters. If we encounter that cat spirit tonight, our chances of winning will increase. As he spoke, he pointed at Zhang Chiming in front of him and said, "Xiaoming," to see what was going on. But I was still a bit puzzled and asked Qianqian, "You paid for that fool's tattoo, fine, but now you're bringing him here. What's the deal?" Miao Qianqian turned her head, smiled and said, "Brother, are you stupid? He loves tempting fate so much. Nor will I sell my organs. Please give me a way out." In the end, under Miao Qianqian's threats and temptations, I tattooed a design of Kui Xing wielding the Big Dipper and Zhong, catching ghosts on Zhang Chiming. Then I brought him to Xiaoru's neighborhood. Squinting, she stopped Zhang Chiming and said, "This fool delivered himself, we can't waste this. I have a good ideas." Zhang Chiming was so frightened that he shivered. He hurriedly replied, "Sister, I won't sell myself." When I heard they were here to cause trouble, I didn't bother being polite. I went up and hit him twice. Told him to get lost, but Miao Qianqian did have a different ideas. I felt like she must be an idiot. Then, Miao Qianqian also stopped being polite with her. He stepped forward and snatched her phone. Then he turned to me and said, "This idiot is an online streamer, specializes in doing dumb things to attract attention." And only then did I learn the truth. At that time, the air conditioner was actually a hire. As soon as Zhang Chiming finished speaking, he started dancing and laughing heartily. Meanwhile, Miao Qianqian and I were left speechless. I told my dad about it at the time. My dad checked it out. Later he found out that someone had died in this house before. We were so scared that we moved out immediately. Later, I found a master to ask. I replied that I believe in it. I believe it after hearing that. Zhang, chiming, put his hand to his mouth and whispered, "When I was a child, I saw two little people on the air conditioner. It was really scary. I have the ability to see spirits. I can see unclean things. Do you believe it?" As soon as I heard the other person had this ability, I instantly became interested. A voice came from the door. "Is this the traditional tattoo shop for blessing and good fortune?" "Hello, master. My name is Zhang Chiming. I'm telling you, this is definitely not feudal superstition. This is a matter of life and death. He should know how to choose." At that moment, Miao Qianqian suggested that we sneak over to his house tonight and wait. Let's see if those three dogs can take on that cat spirit. I think that's a good idea. Just as Miao Qianqian and I were talking, if you can get through this calamity, it will already be a blessing from the Bodhisattva. Watching Xiao Ru leave, I didn't say anything more. He is a smart person. This is the sin you created yourself. You have to pay for it yourself. You secretly find a place to give birth and just say it was a miscarriage. You are destined to have no children, yet you are pregnant with an evil heart. Hearing this, Xiao Ru was startled. She exclaimed excitedly, "He'll give birth to it. What will the neighbors think? The aunties and grannies in the neighborhood will spread it around. They'll say the Li family's daughter-in-law did too many bad things, gave birth to a ghost child." I earnestly reminded her that I knew she had worked hard for the life she has today. But to survive, you must give birth to the black cat's unborn child. Fulfill its wish. It won't bother you anymore. Using the original golden retriever as the central head, I tattooed two heads on the side. The design wasn't too complicated. It was completed quickly, just as Xiao Ru finished getting dressed and was ready to leave. This act, though cruel, is a matter of life and death. It was also a reluctant choice. I didn't say much more. I was ready to start right away. I asked, "You weren't present when they were killed, were you?" Upon hearing this, Xiao Ru quickly shook his head. "You said they mustn't know. I was the one who killed him. Otherwise, they won't protect me. But to tattoo this design, you need to have the spirits of 3 loyal dogs possessed for it to work." The next day, Xiao Ru came to find me with the blood of the 3 remaining dogs at home. I took the blood from his hands and looked deeply at him. She locked 3 stray cats in a cage, forcing them to fight. Unexpectedly, she raised an ancient king. Now, to save her life, an ordinary tattoo won't be enough. She needs to get a Cerberus tattoo with ghostly spikes to protect her. I had warned Zhao Xiaoliu to take this relationship seriously. I didn't expect that a tragedy would still occur. In the end, what consumed him was his insatiable greed. A woman became addicted to torturing cats to relieve stress. I want to become one with him. Let him be forever within my body. He can never leave me. After watching the reports all day, I also understood the power of this ghost tattoo. The suspect has been arrested, but after his arrest, Wang Qiangsheng showed no expression, even revealing a sinister smile. They say even a tiger won't eat its cubs, but those who disregard family ties deserve to be punished. My heart skipped a beat, snatched the phone from Miao Qianqian's hand, and looked at it carefully. Famous tycoon Wang Qiangsheng killed his lover Zhao Xiaoliu at home. The methods were extremely brutal. Just as I was about to head out for a walk, Miao Qianqian suddenly rushed in, looking panicked. She asked me if I'd seen the news, that Shengji had literally eaten Zhao Xiaoliu alive. The moment I saw the news, at this moment, Brother Sheng had completely lost his rationality. He was possessed by the vengeful spirit of Huzi. Though it's said that a tiger does not eat its own cubs, But Zhao Xiaoliu's betrayal had already triggered this ferocious tiger's opportunity to guard his drug henchman. A few days later, I was hanging around in the tattoo shop with nothing to do. This is the last time. After this, we go our separate ways. We owe each other nothing. No one should stand in the way of anyone else's success. But little did they know, us, and so wise to be feared, and he loosened his belt and prepared to do something. Zhao Xiaoliu saw him like this, and thought he wanted to do that. She had no awareness of the seriousness of the situation. She even said it was fine. With that said, Shengji had nothing more to say. His patience has reached its limit. He suddenly grabbed Zhao Xiaoliu's hair. He slammed her hard onto the table. Unexpectedly, Zhao Xiaoliu looked at him with disgust and said, "You sold the company. How are we going to live now? Are you expecting me to eat steamed buns with pickled vegetables? If you can't support me, you'll just find another sugar daddy." With a displeased look, she said, "You don't even want to spend some money for me. What qualifications do you have to say you love me?" Seeing this, Sheng Ji suggested selling the company. "Then we can travel the world together. How about flying together like a pair of phoenixes?" Zhao Xiaoliu had already spent over 5 million these past few days. The company's working capital is just that little bit. If we divert any more, the company won't make it. Hearing this, Zhao Xiaoliu kicked him away. Of course not. Back home, Zhao Xiaoliu had completely forgotten my advice. As soon as he got home, he asked Sheng Ji for another 10 million. He wants to go out and have some fun this weekend. But Sheng Ji was really out of money. I had nothing to say. This time, I actually fell for his trick. It turns out even heroes can't resist a beauty. What a coincidence. But is that really how it ends? That's just how the world is. He'll teach you a good lesson about how people prey on each other. There's a saying, deceit is a pass for the deceitful, while integrity is the epitaph of the noble. Watching Zhao Xiaoliu walk away confidently, I angrily clenched my fists. I also realized that this woman came here to either show off or deceive me. This was the last check of the tattoo. Seeing that I wasn't saying anything, Zhao Xiaoliu smugly remarked, "Don't blame me either. Does this tattoo even have any value? You still don't understand yourself." Little did she know, Zhao Xiaoliu coldly laughed and said it was good that it worked. "Otherwise, I would definitely tear down your stinky scam shop." Seeing Zhao Xiaoliu's disgusting expression, he just passed by and got a tattoo. He left in less than an hour. "Are you still trying to fool me?" After he scolded me like that, the anger in my belly flared up. What kind of scam is this? You would give me a big red envelope of 100,000 yuan, right? I didn't expect Zhao Xiaoliu to turn her back on me. She glared at me and loudly said, "I had someone check. You don't really know that guy Tian Ba." She stood up and prepared to leave. We never talked about money, so I had to muster up the courage to approach Sister Liu and say, "Didn't we agree back then? If it really works, and not to soak in hot springs, she should respect this picture and live well with Brother Sheng. After all, there are deities watching over Zhao Xiaoliu, who nodded in agreement and asked me to check his tattoo again. I didn't hold back either. I took him to the tattoo room and started the examination. After confirming there are no issues, I reminded her again not to take long showers recently. I immediately said seriously, "Don't forget the previous reminders." But it was clear that Zhao Xiaoliu, who was currently in high spirits, couldn't take in my words at all. He was impatiently taking off his clothes. "In a few days, you'll have emptied him out. Take it easy, you need a long-term plan." I didn't expect that Zhao Xiaoliu would disdainfully say, "What are you afraid of? At worst, you'll squeeze him dry and then toss him aside." Then I'll find another sugar daddy. Sheng Ji is now completely obedient to me. In just 3 days, she has invested over 5 million in me. I casually stubbed out the cigarette and threw it on the ground. I stepped forward and echoed, "Isn't that Saint Brother making you suffer? 5 million in 3 days. But I can only hope that nothing will go wrong." 3 days later, I leaned against the shop door, smoking a cigarette. Zhao Xiaoliu appeared in front of me, driving a black convertible supercar. She now looked like a wealthy lady. With her head held high, she said to me, "Your design is really impressive. The spirits we worship will come after you." But Zhao Xiaoliu didn't care. He just gave me a perfunctory response. I watched Zhao Xiaoliu leave. I feel a subtle unease in my heart. He would directly give me a big red envelope of 100,000 yuan. But before leaving, I still had to remind him that family ties are mutual. If you betray them, you'll break the taboo of this fierce tiger protecting its cubs. Zhao Xiaoliu was overjoyed. He put on his clothes and was ready to go back to test the effect. Before leaving, he gave me a deposit of 10,000 yuan. He also said that if it really works, forget about the remaining 20,000 yuan. Yes, anyway, you just want to look wealthy. With this design, he'll treat you like his own father. The fierce tiger is protecting you. Upon hearing this, Zhao Xiaoliu looked at the fierce tiger guarding its cubs in the mirror. She smiled with satisfaction and said, "It's truly beautiful. You say, with this design on my back, won't my husband kick me out? Will he still continue to give me money to spend?" I didn't say much. I immediately started helping him with the tattoo. Soon, the fierce tiger and poison graphic was done. I took out a mirror to let him see the effect. As for the tattoo, Zhao Xiaoliu excitedly said that Chengdu believes a tiger does not eat its cubs. He definitely wouldn't dare to be cold to me again. This method will definitely work. Seeing that Zhao Xiaoliu had made up her mind, a fierce tiger protecting against poison, I happen to have the spirit of a little tiger in my hands. Let it possess me, even if you are a stranger. Everyone will treat you like the closest family. Looking at Zhao Xiaoliu, lying on the bed, I slowly said, "This is not love. You can't follow the patterns of love. You've been together for so long. I'll give you a tattoo about family love." The tattoo designs have been passed down from my grandfather to now. There are already 72 ghost diagrams. Countless peers want to kill for fame, but the family skills must not be lost in my hands. But my fate is determined by me, not by heaven. The art of tattooing can be divided into the right way and the wrong way. The right way invites the gods. The wrong way captures demons. Every tattoo artist has ancestral spirits. The ghost's thorn reveals its power. Grandpa used to say my fate is not good. Doing this line of work harms my virtue. Let me smell the right spirit. Walk the path of righteousness. Let him take off his shirt. Lying on the bed, he started preparing the tools on his own. Tiger guards against poison. Catching the ghost that possesses. Greed knows no bounds. If that little mistress really takes her place, it'll be ruined. It's no different from being dead. I sighed at that. I didn't say much more. I can invite a ghost to possess you. But this method is sinister and might shorten your life. But the effect is definitely overpowering. Hearing this, Zhao Xiaoliu couldn't care less. She gritted her teeth and said, "Fortune favors the bold. Hurry and tell me, sis." I looked at the wooden bucket in my hand. I hesitated for a while. "Do you know about raising a ghost?" I happen to have one in my hand. Zhao Xiaoliu's eyes immediately lit up. Excitedly he asked, "I knew it. I could tell you were holding something back. That's why Zhang Tiamba came looking for you. This skill is definitely not simple." This reminded me of the tiger spirit I just retrieved from Zhang Tiamba's map. An idea suddenly came to mind. Then I said, "You're lucky. I have another solution." Upon hearing my words, "How about being your little secretary?" Seeing his face getting closer and closer, I hurriedly raised my hand to block. I said, "No, no, no. I can't accommodate such a big Buddhas." She said sweetly, "No, no, brother, can't you help me at all? If it really doesn't work, look at how many people are missing. I can't be a young mistress. There's not even a foundation of feelings. Impeachment fuels love. Listen to me." Zhao Xiaoliu suddenly got anxious. She pinned me against the table. "Then I can't help you. I'm just boosting fortunes, building on the existing foundation and giving it a push. You both are unrecognized. One is unacknowledged, the other is unmet." Quickly admitting that this isn't really true love. But it's not because I'm impure. It's that guy out there who has a woman. I have to get her back. Otherwise, my position is at risk. It symbolizes love in perfect harmony, but it requires pure feelings. Are you sure your love is true? Did you hear what I said? Zhao Xiaoliu started feeling a bit guilty. It is the place that nurtures the soul. The Buddha seat is also called the lotus seat. It represents holiness. The lotus flower is mostly a double flower in the I Ching. It's called the twin lotus. I pushed his hand away forcefully. Then I thought, in your case, you can get a lotus flower tattoo, rising from the mud and not being stained, symbolizing loyal love. The lotus is considered a symbol of the Western Pure Land in Buddhism. You have to help me this time. My spouse and I haven't been getting along lately. Give me a charm. It'll promote harmony in our marriage. It helps enhance love." Zhao Xiaoliu's attitude did a complete 180. She stepped forward and grabbed my hand. She said, "Xiao Yuji really keeps a low profile. I've connected with that Tiamba. We're old classmates. This super big shot. How did he come to see you? Just by looking at the tattoos, I can tell who this is." I knew this woman was very profound. Before I could say anything, I felt that this woman was just looking for trouble. But I still forced a smile to ease the awkwardness. Just when I thought the elixir had gone bad, Zhao Xiaoliu suddenly noticed the painting of the dragon and tiger on the table. Excitedly she said, "Oh my, is it really that magical? Then why don't you get one for yourself to use as a sign? I see that the skill is really poor." Hearing his words, a fire ignited in my heart. I knew he was still the same person, so I couldn't be bothered to say much to him. I got straight to the point and asked, "Xiaoliu, did something happen?" Zhao Xiaoliu looked around my shop and said, "I heard that your tattoos can give people a new fate and help with career confusion. And I thought you were doing some big business. Turns out you're just running this shabby shop, catering to those drifters, tattooing them just to make a living." Hearing his sarcastic remarks, "You are still as beautiful as ever." Unexpectedly, Zhao Xiaoliu let out a cold snort. She said disdainfully, "Don't try to get close. Who would want to associate with you, bunch of losers? I heard Qian mention you." At that moment, the door suddenly swung open. A beautiful woman walked in, clicking her high heels. Seeing that it was Zhao Xiaoliu, I quickly got up to greet her. I complimented Zhao Xiaoliu. "Just have Mio Qian ask her to come to the shop tomorrow." The next afternoon, I looked at the dragon and tiger tattoo design in my hand, lost in thought. I'm ready to study the highlights afterwards. Mentioning the name Zhao Xiaoliu, I couldn't help but pause for a moment. Back in high school, Zhao Xiaoliu was our school beauty. I didn't expect her to have entered high society now, so I agreed to this deal. I smiled and asked, "What about that guest?" "Zhao Xiaoliu. She's now with one of my dad's business partners. That little vixen is only a few years older than me. When we meet, I still have to call her aunt." How about we make big money together? Upon hearing this, I knew that girl was really in a money pit. However, the funds for revitalizing the old craft can't be lacking. So, I cleared my throat. She waved her hand and said, "Enough. You urged, stop messing with me. I'll ask you one thing. I'll help you bring in customers. Are you going to join me in this scheme? Be proactive and sincere in your actions. But ultimately, your destiny is in your own hands. You can't place all your hopes on deities and spirits." Upon hearing this, Mio Kiankian was already a bit impatient. At that moment, Mio Kiankian suddenly picked up a sewing needle, casually asked if what I said about those supernatural things is really effective. It is definitely effective, but the effects are slow, and you need to maintain positive energy. Isn't it a big deal? I turned around and said irritably, "Little girl, don't talk nonsense. That's just the big boss coming to visit my shop. You have classes at university now, right? If there's nothing going on, don't keep running over here. One can't place all their hopes on gods and spirits." Just as I was contemplating how to deal with this tiger cub spirit, suddenly, I heard Miyokiankian's voice outside. She asked me if there was just a luxury car parked at the door, and there were bodyguards in black guarding the entrance. The tiger mistook him for its own cub, so it didn't eat him. This time, I took advantage of the conflict between the tiger and the dragon to extract this tiger cub during the hunt. Destiny is always in our own hands. The little tiger timidly stuck its head out and quickly retreated. I wondered if it was a language barrier. Without thinking too much, I covered the ink pupil. What Zhang Tianba extended wasn't a tigress, but this little tiger cub. "Can you say something?" Hearing my call, the ink began to swirl. 2 claws emerged. This was the tiger silhouette from the previous picture. "No problem taking care of you." Then we exchanged contact information. Zhang Tianba then left. After he left, I looked at the ink tube I had just dipped and said, "Tiger." He hugged my arm tightly to show that we're close now. "You really suit my taste. I, Zhang Tianba, owe you a huge favor. I can't reach your territory here, but I also know a few brothers hanging around here." I explained that there are rules in every profession. Editing the image will only take an hour. Charging 3,000 is quite a lot. Listen to what I'm saying. Zhang Tianba didn't say anything more. It was because he felt it was too cheap. He excitedly said, "Little brother, do you look down on me? I still believe that my life is worth 3,000 yuan. I quickly waved my hand. How much was the blessing worth? I held up 3 fingers, indicating 3,000. Upon hearing that number, Zhang Tianba suddenly became anxious. Of course it wasn't because it was too expensive. "I'll add the finishing touch for you. Your fate can bear this now. You'll be even more successful." Hearing my words, Zhang Tianba immediately beamed and said, "Brother Cheng," but also somewhat worried, "will this image still serve its original purpose?" Wei Yan turned around and smiled, saying, "Don't worry. It will definitely be just as effective as before. Once the image and text are restored, it's the evil tiger's spirit causing trouble again. I've removed it. You need to take a look. I heard the problem has been resolved." Zhang Tianba appeared very happy, and that gave him a chance to survive. Thinking back on these events, Zhang Tianba's expression turned somewhat desolate. I slowly explained, "Your dragon tiger pattern, from the perspective of yin-yang studies." He suggested that maybe his father killed the 3 tiger cubs. It's likely that the tiger without cubs mistook him for one. Hearing his answer, I thought it was possible. Perhaps his father also realized this. That's why he fought desperately to kill those 3 tiger cubs before he died. After hearing his story, I curiously asked, "Why didn't the tiger eat your whole family? Children's meat is tender and tastes better." When asked this, Zhang Tianba didn't know how to respond. An expert said it was the vengeful spirit of a fierce tiger. So they did a reading for him, said it was his destiny by birth. So they tattooed a dragon across his shoulder, said the evil dragon would subdue the fierce tiger, and went into the mountains alone. Half a day later, the skilled person brought him back, but it was just too late. The others were all eaten. He was so terrified, his soul was shattered, controlled by the tiger, specifically enticing their own relatives for the tiger to eat. At that time, a skilled person passed through the village. After hearing about this matter, they borrowed a hunting gun from the villagers. I don't remember what happened after that. The village elders say this is a demon of prostitution. A tiger doesn't eat its own cubs, but a ghost is different. It's said that people eaten by tigers turn into ghosts. He dreamed that his missing brother came to find him. He said there was treasure in the mountains. He staggered out and followed them outside. Then he was taken by a tiger, but his mother and brother went missing. The watchman said they stumbled out on their own. The next night, he had a dream, but also killed several hunters who ventured into the mountains. Among them was his father. Later, everyone was scared, so they switched to guarding. He was keeping watch in the village. Then, according to Zhang Tianba, this tiger is a reminder of the time he was taken by a ghost when he was a child. It was when he was 6 years old. A golden white tiger came to the mountain. That tiger not only took away many livestock. I told him not to panic. Let's change this picture first. But before we do that, I still need to ask him about the origins of this dragon fighting tiger painting. That way, I can provide targeted assistance. Changing it this way will only worsen things, and people will die. Hearing my words, Zhang Tianba was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. He knelt on the ground, pleading with me to save his life. I sighed and said, "That's the principle. But you forgot. Now the dragon and tiger are one. When you bring the evil dragon to life, you're also arming the vicious tiger." To my surprise, Zhang Tianba said awakening it would definitely save lives. Tattooing the dragon's eye would enhance the dragon's power greatly and subdue the tiger pattern eye. Do you have any thoughts on it? Help me dot my I's. Hearing that Zhang Tianba actually wants to awaken the dragon's eye, I was also taken aback. I asked him if he knew what would happen if this dragon was awakened. I'm afraid disaster is about to strike. This diagram is too complicated. Just look at the direction of the characters and the context. That's the mark of an expert. It's difficult to handle the markings of an expert. If you mess it up, it could lead to trouble. This dragon looks rather awkward. Dragons and tigers compete. I guess you've been having a rough time lately. Bad luck keeps coming. Danger lurks in the dragon and tiger. And save my life. Hearing his words, I nodded. Then, touching his tattoo, I said, "Bro, isn't getting that tattoo a bit reckless?" Excitedly, he grabbed my hand and said, "Brother, you really do have some skills. I searched for so many people, and you are the only one who figured it out. Quickly modify the picture, the dragon and tiger pattern. This is a great taboo. Unless something unexpected happens, you are already a dead man." Hearing this, Zhang Tianba looked shocked. Not only have you endured these years, but it must have been smooth sailing. But you have a king character carved on your dragon's forehead, dappled in blue and black. A pair of tiger teeth protrudes from the dragon's mouth. I pinched my chin and slowly said, "In ancient times, the dragon lord was invincible in battle. But as the saying goes, a fierce dragon cannot cross a river. Not everyone can withstand it. But brother, you abandon hope in fate. Plus, what the masters have heard." I couldn't help but be stunned. It turned out to be a shoulder dragon. Seeing my surprised expression, Zhang Tianba was quite pleased. Seeing this, I decided to show some real skills. I quickly got up to welcome them in. Then Zhang Tianba ordered 2 of his men to go outside and keep watch. Don't let anyone in. But when Zhang Tianba took off his shirt and revealed the tattoo on his body, one day, a middle-aged man came to my shop. The man called himself Zhang Tianba. He came here specifically to find me through a friend's introduction. He came specifically to change the design. As soon as I heard they were introduced by a friend, guided by the principles of I Ching and Feng Shui, taking the demons and gods as life totems, those who tattoo and change fate are called tattoo masters. My name is Cheng Yu. I am a traditional tattoo artist. Cutting hair and tattooing were prevalent. Primitive shamanic tattoos evolved from the lesser-known practices of the I Ching. From ancient times to the present, people believed tattoos were life totems carried on the body. They could alter a person's destiny. Evil dragons don't have their eyes dotted. Wan Gong doesn't open his eyes. Tattoos were referred to as piercing in ancient times. This is the Huaxia culture, with thousands of years of accumulated history. In ancient times, animals were totems. This also proves that the man is someone of status. Welcome to the trap I've specially dug for you. Good luck. Men don't tattoo phoenixes. Women don't tattoo dragons. The man began to observe every move of the car. The person on the other end of the intercom listened quietly. Then he stood up, ready to get to work. A group of younger brothers behind him were very respectful to him. They wanted to escape immediately. Then the 2 pretended not to know each other. He was ignored directly. Behind them, a shadowy figure was secretly watching them. ENGSUB still loves to have fun, just like when she was a child. From her eyes, one can see that she still has a child's heart. The union on Joji Island is very warm towards them as well. This awkwardness made the brother and sister duo quite embarrassed. They were even embarrassed to the core. Li Jihui found herself in an unresolvable situation. If he had known earlier, he probably wouldn't have gone to Joji Island. The scene shifts. ENGSUB happily arrived at Joji Island for a visit, because that place is very suitable for home. He went traveling with his sister. He won't be back until a month later. But the key point is that this turn of events left Che Jingxian filled with regret, due to Che Jingxian's excessive arrogance. At that moment, Che Jingxian thought about how his sister must be waiting for him. So he prepared to leave. Before leaving, Li Jihui asked Che Jingxian why he only accepted this person's invitation. The reason was simple. It has nothing to do with the guild. As vice president, Li Jihui sincerely thanked Che Jingxian. This is how Li Jihui truly feels. Che Jingxian smiled knowingly. This handshake represented a step closer in their relationship. Li Jihui chuckled. Che Jingxian can be quite strangely cute sometimes. Since the protagonist is so confident, I won't be pretentious anymore. The credit for this battle is all Che Jingxian's. It doesn't matter if Che Jingxian uses martial arts, because he isn't afraid of being discovered at all. That battle just happened to let him feel the gap between him and his strength. Thinking about how he once wanted to hurt Li Jihui, Che Jingxian just wants to rush over and take him down. However, this was just out of his selfishness. Che Jingxian slowly got up. This is your questioning of the limitless perspective in the martial world. Do you think I would get hurt if you think about it carefully? He then opened his mouth and said he was sorry. This caused Che Jingxian's heart to flutter. At that time during the tournament, he didn't want Che Jingxian to reveal his skills, so he made him forfeit the match. Has rejected all other proposals. Li Jihui now feels that Che Jingxian is just like a star. Che Jingxian is also quite troubled by this. He doesn't like this feeling. At that moment, Li Jihui remembered something. Aside from that, there are also advertising endorsements, collaborative shoots. I can't keep up with all the requests. But apart from that one, Che Jingxian. Now everyone is searching for Che Jingxian from Unlimited. There are even rumors that Li Jihui is in a romantic relationship with Che Jingxian. This leaves both of them speechless. It's awkward just sitting there. During this time, there have been 328 calls made to Che Jingxian. Che Jingxian defeated the knight with one move. In this battle between the two major guilds, Che Jingxian shows his brilliance. A week after the closure of the solar system, everyone at the Dawn Guild is feeling a headache. It's so refreshing. I haven't practiced martial arts in a long time. It's quite fun to do it occasionally. This knight has been imprisoned by 10 ropes in a delusional world for 300 years and unable to escape. But in the real world, only 3 seconds have passed. He was surprised that Che Jingxian's martial arts were so powerful. With this kick, Dusk Knight has become a cripple. In the second round of the solar system grand battle, Che Jingxian wins decisively. A big pit appeared on the ground. With this kick, although it can't compare to Kai Wang's kick, it's not far off either. Dusk Knight was stunned. Arrogance comes with a price. With a swift move, he threw him high into the air. Next, Che Jingxian intends to show the Twilight Guild leader the power of martial arts. The ultimate martial art, Whirlwind Kick, is ready to unleash. A loud boom echoed in the arena. They pull the knight's soul directly out. Then he throws a punch. He strikes hard at the knight's chest. The remarriage guild is left spitting blood. In front of Che Jingxian, he can kill whoever he wants. It goes without saying that it could create the heavens and the earth. Che Jingxian doesn't want to end the battle like this. He gestures with his finger. In an instant, the chains on the knight begin to pull backward. In just a matter of seconds, Che Song Yun turned the tide. This chain restraining the body is called the Star Sword. It belongs to the highest realm of swordsmanship. If he masters this level, floating in mid-air, looking down at the clown from a position of superiority, he just let him escape during the duel, and now he's forfeiting again. It's really annoying. And this chain is completely invisible to outsiders. This is not magic, nor is it a skill. Che Jingxian's body slowly rises, and the momentum in the arena erupted once again. But in the next moment, he was stunned. He stared wide-eyed in disbelief. At that moment, he was firmly bound by a chain of illusion, and his heart technique resonated. The guards beside him looked around anxiously, although his heavenly 5 yuan star palace suddenly resonated uncontrollably. There was another kind of aura mixed in. The president of the Twilight Guild had never felt such a strong and eerie vibration. In the end, he said lightly, "If you want me dead, it will come at a cost. This will let you experience the unique skills of the martial world, different from the magic of this world." In the next moment, the aura erupting from Che Jingxian had already blocked the momentum of dusk. This made the hearts of the two guild leaders tremble. He received the order from the president of the Twilight Guild to snipe Che Jingxian in this battle. He stepped out and charged forward rapidly, facing the incoming attack. Che Jingxian remained cold and foolishly stayed in place, and immediately frowned. A large axe pointed directly at the center of his brow. The explosive momentum turned to stone. Moreover, the attacking power is still increasing continuously. That's why, at the beginning of the battle, Che Jingxian fell down. The audience fell silent. Everyone was nervously watching the match. Che Jingxian heard Li Jihui tell him to run. As long as he could survive, that was enough. A knight from the Twilight Guild swung an axe down, and Che Jingxian barely dodged it. He just used the initial skill, Spell Counter. It can temporarily prevent Che Jingxian from using magic. After Cai Xingxian returned to his home planet, he faced his first crisis. He was unexpectedly intimidated by a minor character in the solar system. At that moment, Li Zhihui in the audience shouted for Cai Xingxian to escape quickly. As for the competition, it was unimportant. In a moment of carelessness, it directly took his life. At this point, all 4 members of the Twilight Squad were killed by Cai Shui. He used the lives of these 4 to prove his strength. However, his crisis was far from over. Instead, he fell into a predicament once again. He quickly got into position to counterattack her. The arrow flew towards the last enemy. Unfortunately, it only grazed his face. But what he didn't expect was that this arrow was a spinning sword. But their sniper team seems to have no effect on Changshu at all. While Changshu was in a daze, he was ambushed from his right side. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and dodged this fatal blow. Changshu's strength is definitely not to be underestimated. An elite sniper, attacking from a single focal point. All types of snipers have their weaknesses, and they can restrain each other. An arrow was released, transformed into 4 swords. In an instant, 3 people were hit and could not resist. Wang Hun, the leader, was momentarily stunned. Changshu could actually hit 3 people simultaneously, even while injured. Chaeyon turned around swiftly, blood spilling, locking onto the few archers below as the skill was activated. The calmness in his eyes did not betray any intent to kill. The skill of scattering arrows was activated, aiming at the 4 opponents in front. He boldly declares to everyone here that today, death is inevitable. As soon as the words fell, more than 10 arrows flew down from the sky to strike. He has, up to now, the more he faces life and death situations, the more it can unleash his potential. With the bow drawn, multiple arrows are released at once. They cut off the signal. They even used special means to disable the cameras. Cai Engshui smiled faintly. It wouldn't be that easy to kill him. He pulled out the arrow from his arm. Arrows shot towards him with a whoosh. He had seen too much. Even Cai Engshu couldn't escape. 4 archers from the Twilight Guild appeared above him. These people aimed to eliminate Cai Engshu. The next moment, he felt something was wrong. It was just too quiet around him. He immediately contacted his teammates, but all he heard was the crackling sound of electricity. Cai Engshu's pupils suddenly dilated, but shortly after Cai Xingxian returned, he gradually began to distance himself from him. He spent all day sticking to Li Zhihui, while neglecting him completely, like an adorable little kitten that's sulking after knocking over a vinegar jar. This scene happened to be witnessed by Li Zhihui at the time. Cai Engshu's unwavering determination and stubbornness were recognized. Li Zhihui invited Cai Engshui to join the Dawn elite group as the leader. He continuously grew stronger. It was all to be able to protect his brother when they met again. She was admitted to the Dawn Guild with the top score. She found herself in a perilous situation in the dungeon. Life and death were at stake. Yet Cai Engshui managed to survive against all odds. She fought her way through. Humanity must evolve to protect the Earth. After entering high school, she was bullied by her classmates for being an orphan. Fortunately, Cai Engshui is strong at heart. The more setbacks she faces, the braver she becomes. The car accident 14 years ago took all his family away, but in his heart, he always believed his brother was still alive. It was at this time that the goddess delivered an oracle. The day of the nightmare has arrived. A single strike directly hits the enemy archer. Twilight Guild hunter Huang Jixiong is eliminated. Changshu beautifully snipes the enemy, receiving praise from teammates. He is proving his strength to his brother. He fired a shot. The sniper skillfully took the shot. The explosive shot flies away. The might of the sword energy, quickly charging towards the Twilight Guild hunters. He is quite dissatisfied with his brother. He has changed a lot in these past few years. But Che Jingxian still sees him as a child. Then he noticed an enemy wandering below. Fueled by his anger, he found an outlet. I didn't expect the power that erupted would lead to despair. At this moment, Che Yingshu is already heading to the base, on standby. Recalling what Li Zihui had said to him earlier, he punched the wall. He is jealous of Li Zihui. In other words, the god of war wants to target ENGSUB. If my sister is inexplicably caught up in this aftermath, then, no matter how many times I die, I will never forgive myself. The archer hunter is trapped in a life and death situation, messing up Cho Jingxian's hair. He had a faint sense that something was wrong. Tian Zhao Wushan said he would once again take everything from him. What he had left now was only his sister, who was his everything. He will definitely tear him apart. In the end, the martial god only left one phrase, just you wait. Then there was no more news. With a swoosh it disappeared before his eyes. At this moment, a spring breeze brushed his face. Are you the legendary heavenly forged martial god? The heavenly forged martial god has spoken. He will once again take everything from Che Jingxian. Che Jingxian wasn't scared into growing up. If the heavenly forged martial god has the guts, bring it on. This is Che Jingxian. It's the first time he is having a direct conversation with the celestial martial god. The celestial martial god devoured Che Jingxian's heart like a mental demon. Che Jingxian didn't mind this at all. In fact, he felt a little excited. He has never encountered such a situation before, but he understands it in the next moment. It is the mysterious celestial martial god communicating with him from afar. Che Jingxian stared intently at the system panel. His fist tightened to 70%. Che Jingxian looks up. It turns out to be the Wuling system. A character, Yu, appears on the screen. Suddenly, the system starts asking him a question. This makes Che Jingxian's heart skip a beat. He's no longer who he used to be. Even he doesn't understand why he's become so cold. Maybe it has to do with his experiences. And at that moment, a hissing sound emerges. As for the brother thing, even if he doesn't have it, it doesn't matter. With those words, Cha Xin-hyun was truly hurt. Perhaps he really shouldn't have come here today. He won't understand, because Che Jingxian has experienced 150 years in the martial world. He has already begun to doubt whether the Che Jingxian in front of him is really his brother. However, up until now, Che ENGSUB has lived very well on her own. He murmured about the brother he had hoped for, but the words stopped short at that point. Recalling how gentle his brother used to be was so vivid. But why has it become like this now? He doesn't understand, either. At this moment, Che Jingxian was no longer the kind of brother that Che ENGSUB had expected. This attitude made his sister grind her teeth in anger. He heard his brother say sorry to him. In that instant, Che ENGSUB's anger skyrocketed. He really thought Che Jingxian was so strange. His sister couldn't help but clench her fists. But he still forced a smile. He pretended not to notice his brother's emotions. His sister kept rambling on. Che Jingxian directly interrupted him. She couldn't help but ask why. Her brother looked like he wasn't sad at all. Not even a trace of emotional fluctuation can be felt. Che Jingxian was at a loss for words regarding this issue. In fact, he knew very well why he had no emotional response. He wouldn't shed a single tear. Today, seeing him act so cold-hearted is truly cruel for Che ENGSUB. In fact, Che ENGSUB, who is also heartbroken, noticed something off about her brother. It seems like her brother has no feelings at all. As for Che Jingxian, he now wore a gloomy expression. In fact, he shouldn't have come. He is completely different from who he was back then. Even if their parents' ashes were right in front of him. In this building, The two figures stood isolated. Changshu's hand reached for the family photo taken back then. Her mood was filled with profound sadness. Today, he finally brought his brother back. He was truly grateful to Che Jingxian. At that moment, Changshu walked over. Today was an important day for both of them to honor their parents. Che Jingxian put down his phone. It looks like there's no getting out of it today. And he just felt a lingering fear. If Choi Song-hyun hadn't been there at the time, he might have collapsed from exhaustion. I'm exhausted from the dungeon. Thinking back to that day, as soon as he entered the coffee shop, he sensed the fluctuation of inner energy. Just as he expected, Tao Tai-hoon was a very cautious person. Lee Ji-hai brought up the previous abnormal copy incident again. Is this guy really a returner from Murium? Meanwhile, inside the Dawn Tower, Lee Ji-hai's group was mocking Tao Tai-hoon. Cha Shin-hyun guessed that Tao Tai-hoon already knew he was a returner from Murium. However, Tao Tai-hoon hadn't resonated with his martial arts, leaving them in a daze. However, he then shrugged his shoulders. He acted indifferent. The tension in the glasses-wearing man's heart eased. But Tao Tai-hoon still found Cha Shin-hyun very strange. The content of the conversation with Che Jingxian. Otherwise, what's the point of Pu Tasun eavesdropping here? He grabbed the glasses tie with one hand. The sound of slapping echoed. This scared the glasses out of their wits. This left him feeling desperate, cursing this rebellious kid in his heart. At that moment, a mysterious young man beside him took off his mask and glasses to greet him. Unexpectedly, the president of the Dawn Guild was also in this cafe. He coldly said to the glasses, "Your task is to delay as much as possible." During this time, he really owed Jai Hui a lot of favors, so he won't be joining the Twilight Guild. The glasses are genuinely flustered, trying to keep Che Jingxian from leaving. But he can't get a response at all. He directly refused the offer from the Twilight Guild. This made Yan Jing break into a cold sweat. He hurriedly stood up and said that as long as Che Jingxian didn't join Solar Era, no matter how much it costs, they would pay. Che Jingxian's answer was still a refusal, but has become a cold-blooded beast. The mysterious and powerful heavenly forged war god is about to reveal his true form. He questions Che Jingxian as to why he still retains his humanity. Faced with the aggressive recruitment from the Twilight Guild at this moment, Che Jingxian only smiled faintly. Che Jingxian's evaluation of him is S level. Now send your best wishes. The latest blessing effect will appear. It's only available for these 2 days. A man returns from another world at max level. This guy is bolder than he had imagined. It seems the Twilight Guild is full of talent. Just today's encounter with the guy in glasses was surprising. His insight is quite impressive. Here's a tough one to deal with. He'd be a member of Dawn, so please consider working with the Twilight Guild. We'll provide you with 7 secret channels to clear the way. Cha Sung-hyun chuckled. He had underestimated him when they first met. He can set any terms he wants. The Twilight Guild will meet all his demands. Glasses continued. There must be some rift between Che Jingxian and the Dawn Guild. Otherwise, Che Jingxian wouldn't be a consultant for Dawn, just as Che Jingxian expected. However, he has already agreed to work with the Dawn Guild. The glasses were completely indifferent to this. They tried to continue persuading Che Jingxian, as long as Che Jingxian agrees, seeming quite interested in this gadget. Let's get back to the point. The glasses revealed the purpose of this trip. His expression was completely different from a minute ago. They from the Dusk Guild want to establish a long-term partnership with Che Jingxian. Just press this button, and a barrier will be formed. It will block out external noise, and also prevent their conversation from being transmitted outside. Che Jingxian chuckled. He couldn't believe someone as young as Cha Sin-hyun would dare say something so arrogant. His goal today was to persuade Cha Sin-hyun to give up on joining the Solar Age. But before that, he needs to take something out first. This item is the magical soundproof crystal. He hesitated for a moment, but still politely shook his hand. Then Cha Sin-hyun gently said, "You're the Jin Cheol-ho from the Twilight Guild, right?" Outwardly, the man with glasses said nothing, but inside, he was panicking. It was easy to guess from the graceful face that he was a handsome guy. The visitor was none other than Che Jingxian, a level 5 seer. Che Jingxian glanced at the young man in front of him. Just looking at his appearance, it was clear that he was a bit careless. Che Jingxian looked at the hands being offered to him. There seems to be a subtle atmosphere lingering. A bespectacled young man is anxiously waiting for someone. He leaned in to check the time on his watch. It was almost time. Finally, the person he had been waiting for arrived. It's only available for the next 2 days. Fresh cars may soon be at risk of losing their humanity. The god of war appears with a deer, a real-time conversation with fresh car from a distance. At this moment, in a beautiful coffee shop, fixated on the boss dragon, tonight's dinner is set. Kai Ming is the ultimate invincible roasted dragon meat. Being chosen by a level 5 sword emperor as a monster ingredient is definitely his honor. Send all's well now and you'll see the latest blessing effects. Che Jingxian's left hand gathered fire element magic, and the right hand gathered the magic of the thunder element. He gave a charming smile. The power of thunder and fire crackled in his hands. His gaze was sharp. Che Jingxian wants to challenge the strongest boss monster. This left Li Jihui speechless. Yet, he couldn't help but become fascinated by Che Jingxian. Che Jingxian brought him to the safe zone. He asked Li Jihui whether he preferred grilled or fried food. In fact, he had anticipated all of this. The moment he entered this instance, he sensed a group of abnormal monsters. The reason he didn't take action is that these ordinary monsters simply don't catch his eye. This is no longer just a strange phenomenon. It's reached the point of the system breaking down. A large hand suddenly grabbed Li Jihui's shoulder and casually took out the giant dragon behind her. The person who arrived was Cha Song-yoon, looking excited. The dragon's wing attack came mercilessly. It caught Ji-hai Li off guard. The dagger in her hand fell out. Ji-hai Li was shocked to discover this beast could actually use magic power. Suddenly, a giant dragon attacked. His instincts quickly evaded, but behind him, a giant dragon was already there, its jaws wide open, ready to swallow him whole. This is truly a desperate situation. Quickly drawing a dagger to prepare for battle, but when he looked up again, he saw clearly above him hundreds and thousands of giant dragons flying wildly. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be 2 such monsters in a single instance. So many crystals. He didn't know how long it would take to finish cutting them all. Then he sensed a massive wave of monsters approaching. He looked up. The size of that giant dragon was hundreds of times larger than him. Whoosh, whoosh, 2 sounds. 2 more giant dragons have fallen. Li Jihui jumped onto the rock with the remaining strength. He glanced at the dense crystals below. He couldn't help but feel a headache. Swish, 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 directly taking out a large area of dragons. A blade plunges straight into the wall. Then, using skill, they hang their body on the stone wall. With a push, they jump to a faraway place. With a swift strike, he directly cleaved the dragon's head. This heroic appearance instantly attracted countless fans. In the sky, the densely packed giant dragons flap their 5-star sickles. Then Che Jingxian planned to clear the minions before the boss fight. This made Li Jihui curse the little brat in his heart. He originally thought he would let Che Jingxian win easily, but now it had turned around. However, he also wanted to make some extra money next. He realized he had made it a bit complicated. In simple terms, it's what they call all streams return to the source. As long as your martial arts are strong enough, you can merge the ultimate power to reach a higher level of mastery. As long as it's done this way, he could prevent his magic from depleting. Li Jiwei listened in confusion. It almost made his head spin. Che Jingxian coughed awkwardly twice. He had been fighting for an hour non-stop. As for why his magic didn't deplete, he explained it like this. First this way, then that way, finally, strength. Then he heard Li Jihui's voice say, although you've just acquired the skill, you have already been at it for an hour. And strangely, there's no sign of your magic running out. Che Jingxian didn't know either. This Choi Sin-hyun is very likely the returnee of the martial arts world. He is really looking forward to seeing him more and more. At this moment, Che Jingxian has been using magic to enhance his hunter experience points. This magic is different from the wind control. It has a unique enjoyment to take revenge for his son. The Choi family is likely to have been murdered. Then the man's appearance was revealed. It was Park Tae-hun, the president of the Twilight Guild. He had a gut feeling, but they couldn't find any trace of him for those 14 years. The president of the Twilight Guild directly speculated on the inside story. Shu Kyung-sin did not retire, but it was Choi Sin-hyun who was eliminated. He must have gone. He has only recently appeared in the spotlight, and his disappearance coincides with Shu Kyung-sin's disappearance at dawn. The man wearing a hat interrupted the secretary. He asked where he went 14 years ago. Then the secretary searched through all the records. Li Jihui is doing everything to win over a new member who recently joined the association. I heard they even entered a dungeon together. Their relationship is quite special. Che Jingxian's information has been laid bare, with no secrets from birth until now. But the strangest thing is his mysterious disappearance 14 years ago. Meanwhile, somewhere thousands of miles away, a man is scooping fish food, feeding a hippo breakfast in the water. Then his secretary suddenly called out to him. The president then reported on Li Jihu's recent movements in the Dawn Guild. A spy over there reported, "Why aren't there any girls chasing after Taebai?" Lastly, I wish everyone in 2023 to become a big boss. May your great dream of financial freedom come true. A man returns to his ancestors from another world. As soon as he returns, the #1 beauty of the Dawn Guild confesses to him. So he could only change the subject. He asked what Li Jihai really wanted. Then Li Jihai smiled and got close to Cha Shin-hyun. With ill intentions, she said she wanted him to be her boyfriend. I was so shocked when I heard that I almost spat blood. Cho Sing-xian met with Li Jihui. This time, Li Jihai came to settle accounts with Cha Shin-hyun. This left Cha Shin-hyun completely stunned. No money. Just a worthless life. A week later, an arrow shot directly into the stone wall. ENGSUB excitedly showed her brother her achievement. Actually, that night, Che ENGSUB almost pulled all of Che Jingxian's hair out. On the same day, just spit blood to your heart's content. This scene immediately left the younger sister stunned in places. Then a miserable scream echoed throughout the building. He infused his internal energy into him to refine ENGSUB's essence and marrow. Although it's a bit late to learn martial arts now, there's still a way to make up for it. Che Sing-xian gently patted ENGSUB's back and said the most terrifying words with the sunniest smile. Even if you spit blood later, don't be afraid. His hunter level had reached level 22, and there was no food better than fried chicken in the world. While leveling up as a hunter, he also taught his sister to identify human acupoints. He also taught her the mental techniques for practicing martial arts, and so with financial backing from Li Jihai's wealth, Cha Song-hyun wandered and leveled up in the dungeon for a month. At this moment, a gigantic phoenix-crowned chicken stood in front of Chae Jing-seon. After returning to Earth, he experienced a different kind of feeling. If the human hunter system was created by the goddess, then it's highly possible that the one who sent Cha Song-hyun and the others to the martial world is the mysterious divine martial god. Cha Song-hyun was furious, gritting his teeth. What kind of secret plot does the divine martial god have to set up such a shocking plan? The path to becoming stronger in the martial world requires stepping over the corpses of countless geniuses. Suddenly, Chae Jing-seon remembered that book, Heavenly Crafted 5-Element Star Skill from the Cave. It was written by a legendary figure who ascended to immortality, heavenly crafted 5 gods. This opportunity was obtained too easily. Instead, he ignored it. The styles of the two forms are completely different. It's as if two people with similar abilities created it. As long as hunters put in the effort, anyone can easily reach a certain level. Unlike the martial world, after looking at the hunter system, Chae Jing-seon realized that there was a significant difference between the martial arts and hunter status windows. The martial arts status window here can only confirm one's realm. Apart from that, it has no other special functions. However, the hunter status window is different. It showcases many detailed features. No profession means no profession. Her brother can't become a wizard. Moreover, President Lee might not always support him in the future. But seeing his brother so happy, he couldn't be bothered to dampen his spirits. He only heard Chae Jing-seon speak up. Only by entering a new realm that cannot be achieved with martial arts can one elevate their level. So at this moment, he decided to become a magician. However, his sister was at a loss for words. But when it comes to magic skills, even martial arts are difficult to execute. So Chae Jing-seon's goal is now very clear. With the sound of bang, 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 Chae ENGSUB was stunned. He soared into the distance. When he reappeared, the person is already in the air. In Chae Jing-seon's hands, energy begins to gather. He can use martial arts to perform ordinary skills, to reach a higher level of mastery. Thinking of this, he suddenly awakened, as if he understood something. With a sudden leap, although Chae Jing-seon still isn't quite sure of his path as a hunter, even if he can use martial arts to level up as a hunter, he still wants to get familiar with the hunter's skills. He recalls the battle with Lee Ji-hye that day. Once a killer in the martial world, Lee Ji-hye combined martial arts with assassin skills. At this moment, suddenly 2 blind rabbits rush towards them. Chae Jing-seon feels nothing. Now, he can use martial arts to gain hunter experience points. With one punch, he instantly destroyed 2 rabbit monsters. A proud expression can't help but appear on her face. After that, they quickly dash off. During this time, he asks his brother, now that he has mastered the swordsmanship, what is he planning to do next? Although he had never taken a disciple, guiding Chae ENGSUB would be more than enough for him. He agreed without hesitation. This way, ENGSUB can stay by Chae Jing-seon's side. Then with a turn, she is ready to head to the next location. But seeing his brother being so skilled, he was moved to start learning. He didn't know how strong he'd become after mastering martial arts, but at least he'd be 100 times stronger than now. Chae Kuen-yeon patted his sister's shoulder to comfort her. He confirmed his brother's power. Back then, in the dungeon, his companions were wiped out, and he was humiliated by Seo Kang-jin's son. All he could do was scream in madness. Then he called out to Chae Jing-seon. He wanted Chae Jing-seon to teach him martial arts. Although when Cha Shin-hyun defeated Seo Kang-jin, he already suspected his brother's strength. But until just now, they must have acquired their martial arts skills like Chae Jing-seon. It's all through their initial skills. My sister was in awe. He didn't know anything about martial arts, but it sounded really powerful. He threw a punch. The mountain cracked. From now on, Che Jinxian can also accumulate experience points using martial arts. No wonder Li Jihui and Pu Taichun became the strongest hunters in the country. This skill can surpass perfection, able to transform and utilize freely. From now on, it will be much more convenient for him to get things done. Suddenly, he stepped forward with his left foot, striking a pose for an attack. It seemed like he saw something. Then he asked his sister if using the consumed magic points for passive skills to kill monsters would also yield experience points. After receiving his sister's clear answer, he understood everything. He acquired an initial skill called power. Maybe the system recognized his swordsmanship skills. Otherwise, it might be a system error. His sister thought it was extremely unreasonable. His strength actually jumped from D rank to a rank in an instant. Suddenly, Che Jinxian's eyes widened. Che Jinxian was stunned in place. He went from D rank to a rank in just 10 minutes. His sister behind him was shocked by this information. She had no idea what her brother had just done. Che Jinxian didn't understand it either. He met a master who also returned from another world on his home planet, and with his help, he smoothly became a dungeon hunter on Earth. At this moment, many interface pop-ups appeared in front of Che Jinxian. He opened one to take a look. After he clicked on each one to check, the content that appeared on the interface left him dumbfounded. Finally, Taibai wishes everyone to become a big boss in 2023. May you achieve the great ideal of financial freedom soon. The man returned from another world. Countless rabbit monster fragments fell from above. The hunter skill has only been around for 14 years. To master the cast star sword technique, he would need at least another 100 years. But in the next moment, many interface pop-ups appeared in front of Che Jinxian. Che Jinxian slashed with his sword. He then followed up with a reverse cut. With a crunch, he split all the rabbit monsters apart. Che Jinxian hated being told how to do things the most, except for his sister, splitting the panel in half. As someone from the sword domain, how could he possibly obey the guidance of a mere system? He will use his own swordsmanship to master the sword and blade skills. The rabbit monster let out a roar. It charged forward directly. Right now, all he wanted was to kill the rabbit immediately, to vent his frustration. Suddenly, numerous system prompts appeared before him. The system was providing him with swordsmanship tips, but Cha Song-yeon slashed down directly. A wave surged beneath the moonlight. Even if it's a joke, there should be limits. Then, Che Jinxian and the rabbit monster faced off. The girl on the mountain shouted and cursed at Cha Song-yeon. He chose to ignore her completely. He's actually unemployed. Out of frustration, he drew his sword from his waist. He spun elegantly in the air. With a whoosh, he landed perfectly. Her brother directly kicked a musical instrument and greeted her. During the jump, Cha Shim's string recalled something. The 5th level peak swordsmanship in the martial arts world was actually only at negative level. Even more infuriating was, I couldn't even count them. There were over 3,000 in total. This number was perceived by the car's fresh scent. Just as Cha Yun Snow was wondering what to do, a strange scene appeared. It was as if nothing had happened. I held my sister's hand and went to the dungeon to fight monsters. When we arrived at the monster gathering place, I was completely stunned. Looking around, all I could see were rabbit monsters. In fact, he understood what his sister was saying. Although he didn't know what schemes Li Jihui had, Che Jinxian was definitely not the kind of person who could be easily manipulated. This expression really startled Choing Shu. But everything is fine. When his sister heard this, she scolded him for being shameless. They have already been very generous to give you 10 billion for free. Although Che Yingshu doesn't know what agreement they have between them, He suspects that Li Jihui must want to gain something from him. Che Jingxian was at a loss for words. However, the hunter's experience points did not change. So, to increase experience points, he must kill monsters using hunter skills. Looking at the swordsmanship on the panel, Che Jingxian fell into deep thought. He wondered if he should ask Li Jihui for 200 to 300 billion. So be sure to be careful. But the next moment, Che Jingxian swiftly eliminated 3 rabbits. This made Che Yingshu alert. Che Jingxian used martial arts to kill 3 rabbits. Che Jingxian looked curiously at the monster crystal that fell from the rabbit. This is a unique crystal that fell from the rabbit. It can be exchanged for money. His sister reminded him worriedly, anything can happen in the dungeon. In the novice tutorial dungeon of the Dawn Guild. It also has a nickname of the Rabbit Dungeon. With a bang, the sound of flames burning was from Che Engshu's archery skill hitting the back of Che Jingxian, who began to boast wildly. Otherwise, he would have run into big trouble. Those were actually all small problems. The most important thing is that as the number 1 in the martial arts world, he doesn't have the talent to be a hunter. This is really frustrating. Isn't Li Jihui his big financier? He directly promised Che Jingxian 10 billion in cash. Suddenly, his sister let out a hum. He really did think of the rule. Fortunately, he reached an agreement with Li Jihui. She fiercely mocked her brother. Che Jingxian is a total broke loser. He can't afford to buy any skills at all. Che Jingxian was feeling a bit annoyed. But he suddenly remembered someone, whereas jobless hunters need to purchase skills separately. But the cheapest martial arts require 2,000 likes. Swordsmanship and knife techniques cost even 30 to 40 million. So, a hunter without a profession can only rely on their substantial wealth to purchase skills. Suddenly, the sisters' gaze became sharp, which means they cannot join any profession. They are an ordinary citizen. However, a jobless person can still become a hunter. The problem lies in the skills. Hunters can accumulate experience points to upgrade their skills. Take Yoon Snow's archer class for example. Her advanced class is sniper. Basic classes are innate, cannot change jobs. But a jobless person is unclassed. Hunters are divided into 6 classes. They are warrior, shield warrior, sorcerer, and priest. Lastly, archer and assassin. These are the 6 basic classes. Curious, Chenshu went to check her brother's status. As a result, she saw that her brother's profession was actually unemployed. This made her very happy. This way, her brother could stay safe and not take any risks. She began to explain hunter knowledge. 2 status windows appeared in front of Che Jingxian. This yellow one is the status window of the martial arts world. I didn't expect it to be usable on Earth as well. Then she glanced at the other side of the Earth. The hunter status window on Earth displayed all his information. Then he was completely stunned. He suspected that Li Jihui was just playing with him. But his sister said that this was enough. Try calling out the status window. After he called out, this light was testing whether Che Jingxian had the qualifications to awaken as a hunter. Then he was a bit stunned. The magical cube was slowly dissolving. It disappeared without any changes at all. This made him doubt his talent as a hunter. As long as he has this, Che Jingxian can also have a status window. His sister scoffed at this. Then Che Jingxian picked up the magical cube to prepare for awakening. The stone radiated an incredibly dazzling light in his hand. Anyway, he has an idea now. He wants to become the hunter that everyone on Earth wants to be. His sister was stunned. Why is her brother going out to seek death for no reason? Then Che Jingxian took out the magical method Li Jihui gave him. She gripped him so tightly, it seemed like she wanted to tear him apart. Then she gently rested her head on his chest. She told him not to run off recklessly anymore. He is really worried that his brother will disappear again. Che Jingxian understands this as well. At this moment, Che Jingxian returned home looking exhausted. His younger sister suddenly hugged him. This took Che Jingxian by surprise. He couldn't understand what was going on with his sister. His sister told him to shut up, that Li Jihui meant no harm. Today, Che Jingxian wants to confront Li Jihui alone to get to the bottom of the matter. Having just returned from another world, he had a showdown with top hunter Shu Miwa. With just 3 moves, he forced her to concede. But how could he have known that on that day, Li Jihai and her brother were communicating through secret sound techniques? There's no need to speak at all. Although she couldn't figure out that woman's intentions, her intuition told her. That same night, someone came to clean up the remains of Su Qiangzhen and the other 2. The next morning, the news of his son's unfortunate death was broadcast on TV. Also trending was the disappearance of Su Qiangzhen from the Dawn Guild after his retirement. Li Jihai truly kept her promise to him. He told his sister he was going out for a biting. Although ENGSUB's brother has returned, there's still a sense of unreality. Moreover, the last time Vice President Li saw his brother, he just casually said, "See you next time," and left. My brother was still by my side. Everything is still fine. Today, Che went out early to get a haircut. He looks much fresher. Then, he saw a text message on his phone. He said good morning. When I turned around, I saw my brother. The weight that had been hanging in my heart finally lifted. In that brief moment, I probably panicked and thought that my brother's return was just a dream. But thankfully, it was just my own nightmare. Suddenly, she wakes up with a start from a nightmare, turning her head to look. The house is empty, leaving her all alone. In an instant, a sense of indescribable loneliness and panic swept over me. But my brother's figure slowly appeared behind me. Even the devil of the martial world is not calm at this moment. I don't know what Li Jihui's background is. No one would have thought that a person from Earth could actually cultivate the secret communication technique of the martial world. The next morning, Che Shu lies alone in bed, sleeping in. The martial world would surely become the best in the world. Then, Che Jingxian noticed Li Jihui behind him. He felt that this woman was not so simple. This woman resonated with his cultivation of the heavenly creation, 5-element star technique. Then, surprisingly, Li Jihui could communicate with Che Jingxian without speaking. It seemed like her brother was destroying a corpse. But the next moment, Xiaoyun Su calmly started helping to clean up the blood-soaked battlefield. Che Engshu angrily accused her brother of causing trouble as soon as he returned. However, her brother was unconcerned. He thought that if his sister kept that expression, definitely doesn't disgrace the title of samurai-level hunter. Shu Qiangzhen's move is a 5th-level sword technique in the martial arts world. It's Cha Shim Hyun's original 1/kill. At this moment, Xiaoyun Su brought Li Jihai back home. Her sister was immediately paralyzed with shock. With a crisp sound, Che Jingxian has already arrived behind him. Shu Kangzhen's head has been neatly severed by Che Jingxian. I have to say, to die by Cha Shim Hyun's hand. After receiving the treasure blade, Che Jingxian chuckled. I admire you, so I will treat you with respect as well. With a single move, I strike from afar. The sword energy takes form. Even though he had lost his sanity, he still retained the decisiveness of a martial artist. This is something to be admired. Suddenly, there was a hum. The grade A treasure blade that Che Jingxian had just crushed was pulled over. Shu Qiangzhen's figure rushed forward. Che Jingxian remained calm and composed. He responded with ease. Swish, 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 swish. Shu Qiangzhen's sword swings had reached their peak. All the energy and blood in his body ignited. This skill completely burns his own life in battle. Che Jingxian watched him activate the skill with cold eyes. From the momentum, it was already clear that Shu Qiangxin was determined to perish with him. With a whoosh, Xiao Kangjin gave up the idea of escaping. At this moment, even if he dies, he's determined to fight to the end. Berserker's skill. Ultimate invincible. The ultimate berserk skill is starting to erupt from destroying his home. However, hunters of their level, at level 50, are not yet capable of grasping this level of realm. Simply put, the moment they stepped into Cha Xin Hyun's house, they had already entered Cha Xin Hyun's invincible domain. Facing a monster like Cha Xin Hyun, this made him speculate that Cha Jingxian must have anticipated their revenge. So he set up the barrier in advance to wait for them. In fact, Che Jingxian discovered that they were not here with good intentions. He immediately set up a defensive barrier with the new sword. It was to prevent them. No one could remain unfazed. At that moment, Shu Kangjin also had thoughts of fleeing. He was completely in the dark about Che Yingxian's abilities, and the fierce battle just now surprisingly left no marks in this room. This barrier has exceeded his understanding. Shu Qiangxin cursed loudly. As a shield warrior, one should stand in the front. Instead of turning to run away, Che Jingxian agreed with Shu Qiangxin's words. But in the face of overwhelming strength, another hunter turned to escape, but found himself blocked at the door by a barrier set by Che Jingxian. No matter how he pounded, it was useless. Che Jingxian showed no mercy. In a fit of anger, he pierced his brow. He raised his hand to summon the cold air. In an instant, 5 ice dragons soared into the sky. They roared towards the witch in the void. In just a moment, the witch hunter was frozen, solid. But with one punch, Che Jingxian directly made him question his life. This left the nearby witch hunter dumbfounded. He stood there, at a loss for what to do. He had seen such military tactics countless times in the ice palace of the Northern Sea. Che Jingxian had watched enough to know them well. Then he faced the 3 top experts of the Dawn Guild alone. At this moment, Che Jingxian pointed. He ordered Shu Qiangxin to launch another attack. He is very interested in Shu Qiangxin's incredible strength, but someone behind Che Jingxian was already coming at him with a big knife. Li Jihui said something shocking. I didn't expect your brother also returned from the martial arts world. What this means is that he also comes from there. This man returned from another world at max level. As soon as he returned, he killed his sister's ex-boyfriend. Then he also began to gather his energy. Li Ming is ranked 11th in combat power, facing a level 5 expert from the martial arts world. The competition between the two instantly began after they met. Meanwhile, on Che Engshu's side, Shu Kangjin was furious upon hearing this. The anger in his heart was nearly impossible to suppress. In a fit of rage, he directly began to unleash his combat power. Che Jingxian was also very excited. You should show this kind of momentum. He only wants to know the whereabouts of Che Engshui to avenge his son. Che Jingxian snorted coldly twice. If you are looking for the murderer of his son, then that would be me. At the same time, Shu Qiangxin and his 2 companions are confronting Che Jingxian. Che Jingxian points at the 3 of them and curses. I was just looking for you. I didn't expect you to come right to my door. Shu Qiangxin is not interested in him at all. Not only was she powerful, but also upright and straightforward, and very shrewd. It seems that the only person who can help Che Engshu now is this woman in front of him. He wants to take a chance. He went straight to the headquarters, just as he was wondering if Shu Qiangxin might be setting a trap for him. He heard a woman's voice behind him. This woman was Li Jihui, the vice president of the Dawn Guild. Chai Yun Snow knew she was one of the 4 strongest hunters in the nation. Che Jingxian could clearly sense that this group of guys were not ordinary, and he was Shu Qingjin, a director of the Dawn Guild. The Chiengshu he was looking for was currently driving back to the headquarters. He hadn't thought of a countermeasure yet. A sinister smile appeared on his face. With a clang, it happened. They directly slammed the door open. The three of them were not friendly. They immediately asked where ENGSUB was. He suddenly sensed a wave of energy. Near his front door, suddenly, three figures appeared. The one in front suddenly raised his hand, and magic began to gather in his palm. His sister has been alone for 14 years. She seems to have grown a lot. However, he now needs to find Su Qiangjin, then eliminate him. Just at that moment, ENGSUB needs to go to the headquarters of Dawn, resolve the issue with Su Zhongxian. Zhongxian opened the door. Upon entering, it felt like a different world. This place was no different from before he disappeared. Her brother must be out of his mind. She then stopped paying attention to him. His head is a bit messed up right now. We'll talk about this later. He has more important things to handle now. In the end, his parents really did pass away. Then he said to ENGSUB, he went to a world called Wulin. He has earned the title of the lowly brother. His sister couldn't believe it when she heard. After my parents passed away, my brother also disappeared. It left him devastated. Looking at the family photo on the wall, Zhongxian fell into deep thought. She thinks brother is just talking nonsense. Su Qiangjin's level is over level 50. His strength is very formidable. There's also one more thing. He can't stand brother giving him the title of 5-star sword emperor. It's just too cringy. Zhongxian laughed. He walked towards his sister. There's no need to worry. Brother will just go and take care of Su Qiangjin. However, what I get in return is my sister pinching my face. He has a powerful background. Moreover, he is one of the 11 high-ranking hunters in the country. This time, only ENGSUB survived the mission, so she will definitely be targeted. Upon hearing this, Cha Xin-hyun looked around his home. Yoon Snow had a grim expression. Seo Young-hyun is dead. He will definitely be hunted by his enemies. That is to say, Su Zhongxian's father comes from a criminal background. He hadn't thought much more about it. She was suddenly pulled away by her sister. They hurriedly left the battlefield. First, they went back home. Inside a small neighborhood, ENGSUB couldn't believe it. Su Zhongxian is also considered a genius. Yet he was killed by brother. Zhongxian didn't care at all. The number of people he has killed in the martial world is countless. Suddenly, something comes to mind. He abruptly pushes Cha Xin's string away. He wants to settle things with Seo Young-hyun. Brother turned his head and indicated that if you were talking about him, he has already been taken care of by me. He couldn't hold it in any longer after thinking about it. From this moment on, he is no longer alone. Cha Yoon Snow is as happy as a child. Her brother holds her, comforting her, saying you've had a hard time all these years. Are you doing well? ENGSUB was taken aback. Countless fragments of memories surfaced in her mind. It seemed like the man in front of her overlapped with the brother from her memories, and what hung around his neck was the family bucket from their whole family. He immediately stops moving, even though he thinks of his brother every day. But he doesn't recognize him at all. Zhongxian directly held his hand. Sister, we haven't seen each other in 100 years. Thinking of this, he suddenly opened his eyes wide. This nightmare has haunted him for 14 years. Unshakable. The wound in his heart reminds him that it's deep. Their family's fate was changed. Mom and Dad died in that car accident, and his brother also disappeared in the car. It was all his fault. If I had listened to my parents and gone home early, it wouldn't have turned out this way. His parents were also very troubled by his playfulness. At that moment, his brother walked over, gently stroking his head. He said softly that once he got to university, he would often bring him to play. Then the two siblings happily got on the car to go home. But that night, his sister wouldn't allow anyone to bully her. As Chae-Shu slept soundly, he recalled the past. Back then he hugged a doll and acted cute. Even after playing all day at the amusement park, he still didn't want to go home. With a loud boom, the forest behind him was blown into ruins. The man's head turned to dust. Chae-Shu, lying on the ground, didn't know that his brother had saved him. Chae-Xian wore a look of doting smile. The man had just returned from another world to his ancestors. He found his sister being grabbed by her hair. Angry, he stomped into the sky. His heart raced with fury, wanting to skin the guy alive. Energy began to gather at his fingertips.